Good evening. Let's call to order the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission meeting of August 21st, 2025 at 6:32 p.m. The city strongly denounces hate speech and does not tolerate disruptive behavior in our meetings. Sunnyvale prides itself on the rich diversity of our residents. We are committed to creating a culture of belonging where members of our diverse community feel included, safe, and respected. Before we get started, I'd like to remind commissioners of some procedural items for this meeting. Commissioners, please use the request to speak button on your microphone and wait for acknowledgement from me before you speak. It is important for the public at home and for the meeting recording that your comments are captured by a microphone. Acknowledgement from me is an important part of parliamentary procedure. During the meeting, remote participants will remain muted when not speaking. If remote participants have a question or comment, please use the raise hand feature. Speakers will be called upon to speak one at a time. Members of the public may participate in person, online, or by telephone to provide public comment. Please submit a speaker card to the staff liaison in person or use the raised hand feature online to request to speak or *9 on the telephone. Location and teleconference meeting details are available on the meeting agenda. Captions are available to viewers accessing this meeting via Zoom. Captions can be displayed or hidden using the live transcript button. Comments on matters not on the agenda must be submitted prior to the time I call the item for oral communications. Comments on agenda items must be submitted prior to the time I close the public hearing on the agenda item. Speakers are requested to keep their comments to no more than 3 minutes, and time limits will be strictly enforced. Guidelines are posted on the city's website and on the meeting agenda. Please join me in the salute to the flag. Staff, may we please have the roll call? Commissioners, please request to speak using the microphone now. Staff liaison will unmute you when you are called.
Commissioner Wellman.
My light's not working. I've got a red and a green. I don't know why. I don't know.
We are having a technical difficulty.
I'll sort out the technical issue.
We are going to be a few minutes as we sort out the technical issue with the microphones.
Test, test.
Test. We will take a 10-minute recess unless there's objections from the commission.
Objection.
All right, 10-minute recess. Oh, did we get it working? Oh, we might have it working. Maybe no recess.
I'm green now. I can hear.
Hold the button, it's muted. Am I live? Oh, wait, that's not working right now, is it?
No.
All right, we're gonna resume with the roll call. Please, I guess staff will just unmute you for the roll call when it is your turn to speak.
Commissioner Melman,
Present.
That works.
Commissioner Wilson,
Present.
Chair Beagle,
Present.
Commissioner Golokota,
Present.
Commissioner Bonet,
Here.
and Commissioner Haveman.
Present.
6 present.
All right, thank you. And then, so first up, staff has requested to hear agenda item A, 25-0876, active transportation plan progress update before agenda item 1. So this would be the first study session ahead of the public hearing / general business item. Are there any objections from the commissioner on doing this? From the commission on doing this? All right, if no objections, let's proceed with hearing agenda item A first.
Good evening. Hopefully this works. Okay, good. Good evening. Thank you for taking this out of order. I've been running around today and I have to go a little bit after this, so hopefully I'll be able to stay for the whole thing. But Chip Taylor, I'm the Public Works Director for the city, and I'm excited to be here to be able to introduce our new active transportation planner and let him go through everything with the active transportation plan. And I think the presentation maybe needs to come up if okay. So to talk a little bit about this, the commission probably knows a lot about this position because it came from the commission. So it was created through the budget proposal process to hire an active transportation planner. Went through kind of the normal process for budgeting. It was back in 2023, and then it was approved for the 24-25 budget adoption. And then we started right after we got the funding last July. That's when we started to create the actual position because it was a brand new position. So we had to create the whole job description, and then we went out to hire the position, and then we were able to do the hire about 5 months ago, I think, roughly. So we're excited about that. And then what was it created for? It's created to kind of move forward with the council's direction for the active transportation plan. So that's our desire, is to move that forward. Jose has a lot of good ideas related to that, and it's a brand new position, so he'll have an opportunity to kind of morph that position, and that's a great introduction and song for him to come out to. And with that, I will hand it over to Jose to introduce himself and to go over all of the implementation stuff that we've done so far. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much for the warm welcome. And then goes there controller. Okay, so a little bit about myself. First of all, I don't own a car, so I commute here every day, biking and Caltrain, so I'm proud of that. Also, I'm somebody who, has had a lot of experience, especially having my master's from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in transportation engineering and transportation planning, or city regional transportation. In addition to that, I've also co-managed the Safe Routes to School program at Palo Alto. And in addition to that, look at my notes here. I've just worked at various transportation consulting firms, those in engineering, those in planning, like Alta Planning and Design. So I've come from a long way of experience, but, there's just been a lot. In addition to that, I just have the interest in making, Sunnyvale a more bikeable, walkable place, especially from a place that I come from, like San Francisco. Yeah. Next slide. Oh, thanks. Sweet. Okay. So the goals for today are usually just to, I think most of you are all familiar with, is just to introduce myself as well, and also the plan and background, some bicycle improvement projects and pedestrian projects, some safe routes to school improvement projects, and share with you some of the next steps. All right. So as we're familiarized with this, it's been 5 years since this plan has been adopted by City Council. It consists of the bicycle plan, the pedestrian plan, the safe routes to school plan, and it serves a guide for City Council to consider future actions and approve grant applications. Okay, all right. So, I wanted to go over some of the completed projects, especially the first one is the Moffett Park Drive Class 1 Shared Use Path. This has been completed between Innovation Way to Enterprise Way to connect the portion of West Innovation Way that was previously constructed as part of the Matilda US 101 237 Interexchange project. In addition, we have the Intuitive Surgical Class 1 Shared Use Path. I'm not sure if any of you have tried it. It's open, but it connects from Kiefer to Caltrain Station through Sonora Court. So if you haven't tried that one, I know I will sometime soon. Okay. All right. And next we have completed projects for that include Class 2 and Class 2B, or bike lane and buffered bike lane. But we have Borregas Avenue that previously was a Class 2 bike lane and has been converted now to a Class 2 buffered bike lane between Awani and Maud. In addition, we have Homestead, which is now a full-time Class 2 and Class 2B, or bike lane and buffered bike lane between Wright and New Brunswick. Also here we have some Bicycle Boulevard improvements that have been completed through the 2024-2025 as well for the annual slurry seal, and also the 2025 pavement rehabilitation, which also included Class 3 bike boulevards. All right, you have not heard about this yet. We'll hear about it later today from 10, but about the bike lane study, so you'll hear more about that soon and where it's going. Addition to that, the Evelyn Avenue Class 1 Shared Use Path, or the trail, it's also in the works. Let me see here. The class, it's nearing the end of the design phase and the construction will follow afterwards. So keep tuned on that as well. And Lillian, is there a website for that one as well, the Evelyn? Yeah, so definitely.
Staff is working on a webpage to provide updates on that.
Okay, thank you. In addition to, oh, it's up. Great. Next, we have the East Channel Trail Study. About that. So we're looking at a feasibility study to implement a Class 1 shared use path. The staff is going to do a second round of outreach in September 2025, and staff will present this at council study session early next year. All right, and in addition to that, we have the Stephen Creek's Trail Extension. Phase 2 is what Phase 1, sorry, is being led by Sunnyvale, and that would be between Remington Avenue to Fremont. Sunnyvale staff is working on segment between Remington Avenue to Fremont, and we are currently working on the environmental and the preliminary design phase. For Phase 2, Mountain View is the lead of this project. All right, and for more additional in progress, we have the Bernardo Avenue crossing. This project is moving into design phase. Please keep a lookout of all these projects, including by visiting the web page or updates on the web page, and also signing up for email reminders. In addition, Mary Avenue overcrossing, the draft environmental impact report will be released this fall. Note that this project also has a web page. And then the Intuitive Surgical Class 1 shared use path. Don't be confused about the one I mentioned before. This is an additional one, but they're close to each other, but they're blocked by a parcel. So if you see on there, it is sort of a dead end, but the construction continues as it's in progress. Okay. All right, and in this table, you will see the progress that we have made since last year. the various class types, and the existing, or before the adoption of the 2020 ATP plan, is on the first or the second column, and then the third column is this year's or this fiscal year's implementation. And for at least 2024-25, there's been an implementation of 5.3 miles of bicycle infrastructure. And also since the adoption, we have had implemented 36.1 miles of bicycle infrastructure. So we're still a long way from the 159.6, but we're on our way. Okay. Addition, we have some pedestrian improvement projects. Here we have the high intensity activated crosswalk beacon, or HAWK for short. We have one at Duane Avenue and San Miguel Avenue. I don't know if you've seen this one. I definitely did, and it was really nice. We've also have the removed slip lanes at Matilda Ave and Maud, and Borregas Avenue and Maud as well. I definitely enjoyed those when I was biking around. Right. And in addition, we still are having these ongoing projects for the new sidewalk and ADA compliant curb ramps and accessible pedestrian signal systems with touchless push button. Now on to the Safe Routes to School improvement projects. Here we have the second. The Snail Neighborhood SRTS improvements at Columbian Middle School and San Miguel Elementary School have been completed. Here are some examples of San Miguel: a raised crosswalk, yield pedestrian signs, and markings, including ramp improvements for crossing. Yeah, so these have been some of those improvements. Okay. And then for all Snail and Bradley corner items are done with a design phase, and the construction phase will be completed next year. For Lakewood Elementary School, we are still waiting for the design phase to be finished. We're wrapping up, for this other one in progress project for Peterson Middle School. We are still wrapping up the design and looking to start construction next year. Okay. All right, on to the next steps. So we'll continue to implement the bicycle, pedestrian, and the SRT improvements. We'll continue to look for grant and funding opportunities and continue to deliver funded bicycle and pedestrian projects. In addition to that, I am working on a webpage to provide ATP updates and progress, and that's in the works. So stay tuned for that. Okay, and not sure how much most of you are familiar with the Bicycle Friendly Communities application, or the BFC application. It is run by the League of American Bicyclists, or the League for short. And the BFC recognizes cities that are working to make biking safer, easier, and more accessible for everyone. So just so we know, at least in history, we applied in 2020 and were awarded bronze. And since then, we've implemented projects and programs per the ATP with the goal of achieving silver by 2030. This year, we reapplied, showcasing some of the progress we've made since 2020. So fingers crossed that goes through. All right, and let's see. Oh, and as part of that, the application process, the League of American, or the League, has launched a community online survey and has asked us to spread the word among residents, employees, and commuters and visitors to take the survey and to share their biking experience and ideas for Sunnyvale. So we have a QR code here today. You can scan it and then share this amongst your connections throughout Sunnyvale, and making sure that they apply, or it's open until Sunday, October 5th. And remember to select California and then Sunnyvale, please. And then we'll hear back eventually with news if we've made it to silver or if we keep bronze by the end of 2025. See, and just so for context, for example, the difference between bronze and silver, bicycle infrastructure, for example, bronze is basic bike lanes and some trails, versus silver is more connected, protected bike lanes or off-street trails. That's like a slight difference of that. And so lastly, thank you so much for taking the time and listening to me, and also about the progress we've made for ATP. and continue to follow the stuff or continue to follow the plan online. And yield back my time. And thanks again. And I welcome your questions and comments. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much for that presentation. A lot of exciting stuff happening. Okay.
It's okay.
I'll just pull it down.
Hand it to me.
All right, as a reminder to my colleagues, please request to speak by using your microphones. Your microphone will automatically unmute, but then I will call on you to speak. Once finished speaking, please mute your microphone. Are there any questions from the commissioners? So questions first, then we'll do public comment, and then we'll do comments. So we have Commissioner Momond.
Yes, so does the reapplication have any implications for us in terms of like, does applying, because I don't think we're going to make silver. So if we stay bronze, I mean, does it do anything for us?
We keep the status at least, and we get to reapply in the next 4 years. And I'm hopeful by then, 4 years past, we have even more progress. But I don't know, I'm a little bit more positive thinking that, well, maybe we'll get it, but we'll see.
Okay.
I've tried to emphasize as much as I can in that application. And this next part is very important for all of us to participate.
Okay, thank you.
If you want, so request to speak by pushing the button, not raising the hand, because I can't see the hands very physically. I can't see the physical hands very well. With the active speakers, the order is not in the order they have raised their hand, because now Commissioner Bonet is at the top. So I think maybe bottom?
However you want.
I don't know. Okay. Commissioner, I'm gonna could go bottom up and see if that works, but we're gonna start there. Maybe that's not gonna work very well, but Commissioner Hafman, you're next.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm curious. Welcome, by the way, to Sunnyvale. Look forward to working with you. Can you tell us where the 5.3 miles of new bike lane infrastructure was? What projects?
Can you pull up the presentation again? So in the presentation, we have a few slides on completed projects. So mostly it's those locations, including the Class 1 trail along Moffett Park Drive, as well as if you go up a little bit more under the bike sections. Maybe 2 more slides. Yeah, so including the Class 1 Moffett Park Drive, Class 1 on the intuitive surgical site, and then the next one will be Borregas Avenue. We upgraded it from Class 2 to 2B, and then on Homestead, we made it a full-time bike lane for a portion of it. And then next, some of the Class 3 on the next page. That we implement Class 3B that we implemented as part of the slurry seal process and pavement rehabilitation process. And I think that's mostly it.
Okay, but you don't have a breakdown of how much mileage. Like if like on Borregas, it went from Class B to, or Class B, yeah, to buffered. So that's not miles of new bike lane, right? It's an improvement.
Yeah, so the way we count it was like a minus in the Class 2 category and a plus in the Class 2B category. So it does kind of even out, but it's just in our tracking, we swapped the classification.
So that was factored into the.
Correct.
That was added into the 5.3.
Yeah.
Okay, and second, well, I have a comment, but I'll have that later. Okay, thanks.
All right, I think my list is alphabetical, so that's not gonna work very well. We're gonna go to Commissioner Golakota next. I'm just gonna try to keep things even, and I apologize if it's gonna be in out of order of the hand raising. So Commissioner Golakota.
Thank you, Chair Beagle. Welcome. Excellent presentation. And I have quite a few questions. I guess some is for city staff and then later on for these some of them relevant projects in the presentation. One is, you're doing all these surveys, not surveys regarding the Matilda bike lane project. And we're also at the city level doing a lot of other surveys, right, for a lot of other projects. Has the city thought of any way to digitize these surveys, not just over Facebook, but like by parcel number or by house number or anything like that, so we do not end up spending a lot of money on this postcard campaigns and mailers and stuff like that?
That's an interesting question in terms of, the mailers, because a lot of times that is the easiest way to get to let the residents know there is a survey. Typically, what we try to do is when we start a project, then we will send out a mailer on the corridor or within certain distance from the corridor to at least to the residents who might potentially be immediately affected by it. Otherwise, we do use this online survey platform that we use, this is Open City Hall. For people who have signed up and I guess checked, to take other surveys that the city offered in the past, they would be automatically notified. I believe that there is another online survey available for them to take if they're interested.
Does the information collected in those signups include their address?
Mailing address?
Yes.
No, it does not.
Is that something the city would consider? That would save significant amount of cost, right? I mean, down the line.
Well, so for people who signed up, typically they would be notified by email. So we try to notify them by sending them like a message via the mailing list, like an emailing list.
But you will not know if you're targeting the right section of people or not. Like, for example, for the Matilda bike lane study, you said you targeted about 5 residents from about 5 blocks from Matilda. Then if you're not collecting the addresses, then how are you residential addresses where they live? Then how will you target via email soliciting of finishing the surveys?
We are, for each project, besides sending out mail cards to the residents along the corridor, residents, it could also include property owners, so that could potentially be 2 different lists. We also broadcast it using various channels, so like Nextdoor, social media such as Facebook, I believe, and
Yeah.
also potentially we do publish articles on Update Sunnyvale. So to advertise that there's an online survey for certain projects.
Okay. Thank you. My next question is about the raised pedestrian crossings. When you're building these, what are the considerations that go into deciding a particular intersection around a school is worth it to do the project or not? I'm not aware of what criterion, if it was discussed before I was here, so I'm curious what they could be.
So in the ATP, we do have a Safe Route to School chapters. And so at the time, we, the consultant and us kind of work with different school districts, getting input from parents group and so forth, and try to, and we also did like a walk all day around each school to try to understand the walking and bicycling patterns for each individual public schools. And based on that, we kind of identify locations where some of these which locations might be a candidate location to implement a raised crosswalk.
Is there a location I can find out this information on what made San Miguel and Columbia Middle School eligible while others are not considered or still being considered?
I don't know if the ATP actually goes into details explaining the individual evaluation, but then in the ATP, it does have information for each school that kind of summarized each like intersections near each particular schools and potentially, you know, what might be the challenges at each locations and so forth. So if you look at the Safe Route to School chapter in the ATP, you will be able to find more information about each school and the recommendations.
Okay, thank you. That concludes my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bonet?
Thank you and welcome. A quick question on the current status and the goal of ATP in terms of bicycle lanes. We're, what did you say, or something in the 50s, and the goal is to have on the order of 130 miles. What's your projection on how long it will take to close the gap? And what are your top 2 or 3 steps to achieve it?
So I do have to say a lot of the proposed improvements that are in the plan involve like either a class 1 multi-use path or a class 4 protected facility. So we are working on a lot of the planning studies and for class 1, especially, you know, we're looking at the East Channel. We're doing the design for Evelyn. We're also looking at, we're also working on the Stevens Creek Trail. So all these projects are going to be leading to completing our goal in implementing those class 1 facilities. In terms of how long, it's going to be, it really going to depends because each corridor is at a different stage. And then, for example, for East Channel, we're in the feasibility studies and trying to see what makes sense at each crossings. And then like even after the study is done, we still need to identify funding to see how we can implement those improvements. So I can't exactly tell you how long it might take just because there's like a lot of pieces to the different corridors. Sorry, I can't give you more information.
Would you guess it's a matter of 1 decade, 2, 3?
So, you know, like Evelyn, we know we're going to be completed in a year or so. Stevens Creek, I think we don't have all the funding to do construction yet. So we still need to look for construction funding. Like I said, Evelyn, like those 2 likely will be a little, you know, like, you know, Evelyn, we know how quickly that will be. Stevens Creek, I don't know when we're going to be able to look for all the funding. So that's hard to gauge as well because it really depends on grant opportunity and how competitive our projects are.
Great, thank you. I have some questions as well. First of all, thanks for coming here tonight and telling us about all these things that are going on. I wanted to briefly ask some questions just about your role since it's so new and I want to get to know how it works. So like what is your day-to-day responsibility work or day-to-day responsibility look like as the active transportation like planner? What's your title and then what are your responsibilities look like?
I think they, you know, we are working on, for example, reviewing a lot of the stuff that's been implemented. That's been sort of like the biggest part right now and sort of getting to know more of Sunnyvale, including biking through Sunnyvale on, you know, understanding the bike system itself. I've biked through a few places, especially those that are designated for biking, and as well, just starting to just know more about the projects that are going on. So there's a lot of familiarization that needs to happen that is helpful to understand sort of the system that's in place and where we want to take it. That's usually been like, if I can summarize a lot of that's been going on.
So that's your work that's been going on so far. What is it going to look like in a year or so once you've like fully gotten absorbed into the system and I think have a good understanding of what's going on? Maybe that's not something you know yet. I'm just kind of curious.
I'll leave that to Lillian, but I just feel like it's going to get better. But
I mean, some of the things that he'll be working on include trying to help us look for grant opportunity to implement ATP projects. So, you know, if there's any grants that we want to apply for, then he'll work on trying to apply for those grants. So that's one key thing that he'll be working on. And then otherwise, he is also coordinating closely with the Safe Route to School coordinator to kind of look at that side of things to see how we can work together, collaborate, and do more at the school. And then otherwise, he will also be, we don't know exactly what yet, doing some kind of like bicycle planning studies. So that, like it will be something out likely from, like coming out from the ATP, trying to identify certain bicycle facilities could be implemented based on what has been identified in ATP.
Would that apply to pedestrian matters as well, or?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. And then what does success look like in your role? Like where do you see like an accomplishment of a task is like successful? Like what do you want to get done?
I mean, it's kind of what I explained from the very beginning. I mean, as a fun fact, I didn't learn how to ride a bike until I was in graduate school. Now I'm LCI certified. Now I bike all the time. So it's come a long way. I feel that's a story that resonates with a lot of people who are afraid to bike. And for me, it's a way and a testament to trying to pull more people into biking through my story, the experience, and that sort of drives me to work and to make sure that everybody has access to that. So I'm hoping to make Sunnyvale, as I said, a bikeable and walkable place. And that comes through those experiences, especially biking through the city and hearing the experiences that you have and representing the folks of Sunnyvale.
Awesome. That's wonderful to hear.
Mhm.
I think that's definitely the direction we should be headed. All right, now I've got a couple questions that are just more about the presentation you gave, or these are probably going to be more from maybe from you or from the rest of staff, so they're not they're not targeted directly at you. On slide 8, can we pull that up? I'm just going to keep going through some slides, so I think it's good to have a visual reference. So for these projects, where did the funding come from these? Were these funded by Sunnyvale, or were these funded privately?
Well, we have an asterisk on one of them, for example, for Moffett Park.
Oh, I didn't see
It was funded through voluntary donations from private companies to support ATP infrastructure. Lillian, for the surgical one, it was.
Yeah, the second project was actually built within a private property. So it was a requirement as part of the development process.
So I forget what the term is, but when we do negotiations with the developer to like increase development height and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if this involved a negotiation, because it was identified both in the ATP and the Lawrence Station area plan that we want this particular path within the site. So when we were developing the conditions approval for this project, we included that in there.
Yeah. Okay. Then we'll move on to let's see here, slide 15. So I noticed that most of half of the mileage since adoption of ATP has been reclassification, or has been class 3 bike lane or bike boulevards. Of the remaining build out, what is the mileage that is so we have at full build out is 159.6 miles. What is the breakdown per class of the miles that remain, and is it also half class 3B?
I think the majority, it does have some class 3B as well. The majority, like I mentioned earlier, would be in class 1 and class 4, because the reason is also, is because, well, for class 4, it was a little bit easier to explain because we, for a couple of years, we kind of postponed in implementing them, but then we will start looking for funding to see how we could implement them, starting moving forward. And then for class 1, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of it has to do with finding fundings, doing studies and so forth. So yes, you're correct that, a lot of the reclassifications, including upgrading, from 2 to 2B or implementing 3Bs, those are have been the majority of what we have implemented so far, just because those, the cost wise, or we could find existing projects to incorporate those. So those are, just because of the funding wise and things like that, within the last 5 years, that was easier to implement.
Okay, got it.
But we are working on the other projects that are harder to implement.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Then slide 20, I want to build upon the questions that Commissioner Golokota was asking about these raised crosswalks. So we saw these snail ones, like, I think about a year and a half ago, there was an agenda item that's like snail, like improvements in the snail neighborhood. And were these two of the projects listed in that? Okay,
Yes, correct, they were.
okay. And then what, were these two projects also so directly listed in the ATP, or is that what you were saying was not the case? Just a second
They
ago?
were listed in the ATP. So these are actually Safe Route to School improvements identified for both the San Miguel Elementary School and the Columbia Middle School.
So the raised crosswalk is listed in the ATP.
Correct.
Got it, okay. Do you know offhand if what other raised crosswalks are potentially in the ATP?
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry.
Okay, then slide 25. All right, so you mentioned the hope of, well, we're hoping to get to silver. We're at bronze. And I think you mentioned the difference between silver and bronze, but I'm gonna have you refresh me on what you said there. But I'm also curious, I'm assuming there's a gold and potentially more than gold, platinum. What do those require as well?
I don't have that
And-
information right now.
And how far are we from those?
Yeah. So let's see. Again, I'll mention actually a few more differences, but again, you wanted to know the difference between those? Yeah. So
I wanna be
I would think
disappointed.
one example was bicycle infrastructure. So for bronze, it's basic bike lanes and some trails. Silver is more connected, protected bike lanes and off-street trails. Another example would be sort of like the encouragement events. So like bronze has a few annual bike events or promotions, while silver has more regular, well-attended bike events like SRTS events. So that would be an example of that one. Let's see, for education and programs, bronze has some bike safety programs for schools or the public versus silver's more frequent, broader programs for all ages and skill level.
Got it.
Okay. And then, yeah, I don't know for the other ones out of the top of my head for going into gold and silver, but these, I would say every 4 years, it gets harder.
Oh, so the requirements to be classified at a level get more
Yeah.
difficult. Okay.
Yeah. But like we were saying, some of those improvements, including with the, bike infrastructure, I think will push us there further. And, I think one of those requirements from being silver last year was trying to hire somebody to be an active transportation planner. So, check mark.
Okay.
So we're hoping that's how I was like, maybe that'll push us, but we'll see.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Mhm.
And then I wanted to ask, what is this survey for? Is this like people filling out the survey as like part of being classified as silver? Like it's kind of like, please classify Sunnyvale as silver, or no?
They're asking for questions about your bicycle experience.
Okay.
So that will lead them to see, how much is Sunnyvale really saying on this application? And let's look at the public to give us input on that. So then we look at apples and oranges and see where they,
Okay, so
sort of connect.
okay, so it's asking the public about their experiences to gauge whether it should be, okay.
They're engaging and sharing their experiences, and that's why we open it up to visitors and also to just other folks who bike in Sunnyvale.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And that is the end of my questions. Commissioner Hafman, you have your hand raised. We'll go back.
Yeah, following up on a question you had, do you know where does San Francisco sit on this survey?
They are currently at gold.
They're currently at gold.
Mhm.
Wow.
I think the only platinum one that I know is Davis, California, and they're reapplying for platinum status.
Clarify that he's referring to, I don't know if you're referring to state of California. So within the state of California, the only platinum is Davis.
All right, thank you. That is no more raised hands for questions. We will go to public comment. I will open public hearing and take public comment at 7:22 p.m. As a reminder to the public, please submit a speaker card to the staff liaison, raise your digital hand now, or dial *9 on a telephone if you wish to address the commission. I will call on members of the public participating in person first. Then the staff liaison will ask remote participants to unmute their microphone when it is their turn to address the commission. Speakers will have 3 minutes to speak. I have one in-person speaker card from Charlene Lowe.
Hello, thanks for taking my comment. Welcome, Jose. When I was on the BPAC in 2023, I made this budget proposal to get you hired, and so I'm very happy that you're here now, and we have a lot of work to do. So I made some notes from your presentation, and I'll just go through them in the order that it occurred to me. So the Class 3B bike boulevards, and I make this comment in general about our Class 3B bike boulevards. According to the NACDO All Ages and Abilities guidelines, they should be implemented on streets that are less than 20 miles per hour or less, and with a daily traffic volume of 2,000 and a peak volume of 150. And that is not the case, I am sure, on the Class 3B implemented in Sunnyvale. It's often implemented in school zones where the peak volume is, for example, at Cupertino Middle School, the attendance is over 1,000. So I am sure the peak volume is way over 150, and they're just inappropriate for how they're implemented in Sunnyvale. So it would be great to reevaluate that and make them safer. And then for the ATP, it would be great, and I know the city's working on this, to get a dashboard of the status of all the projects in the ATP and their status, and then their expected date of completion. And I know that's hard to estimate, so then you can estimate the expected date of completion for the current phase. For example, looking for funding. You should have a good idea of that and report it on this dashboard. And similarly, for the bikeways chart that you presented, and as Commissioner Beagle said, it would be useful to have for each bikeway type what the total bikeway planned is in the ATP, so we know how much more there is, not just the full 160 miles, but for each bikeway class. And the Safe Routes to School program is not very manifested in what I can see, and compared to other Safe Routes to School programs in our neighboring cities, in particular Cupertino, I'm very familiar with that because I am part of that program. It would be great if Sunnyvale could improve its Safe Routes to School program to be up to that level, and I'm sure you're familiar with it too, because Palo Alto's Safe Routes to School program is this way, where there's monthly meetings of all the stakeholders, city staff, school staff, students, parents, community members, all coming together to discuss and hear from the transportation manager or the active transportation planner what the latest is on the infrastructure side. And then finally, it would be great if you prioritize working on infrastructure instead of encouragement activities. Thank you.
Thank you. I have, if no more, okay. I have no more in-person speaker cards. Staff liaison, do we have any remote participants wishing to speak on this item?
We do, Chair. We have one participant at the moment, Daniel Karpilovich. Daniel, you have been unmuted, and you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Hi, good evening. My name is Daniel Karpilovich. You might know me.
Daniel, just a moment, please.
Oh,
Daniel, can you speak again?
yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, you now have 3 minutes.
Yeah, I just wanted to say welcome to Jose. Was very happy to see that presentation, and very happy to see another car-free person in Sunnyvale. I had some thoughts on the website, I think kind of in line with what Charlene was saying, but just to add to that, like I just wanted to maybe point out how fragmented the current information is on the website. There's a transportation projects page, but maybe half the projects are on that page. and the others, there's some links to other pages on that page, and then there's some projects that have their own page that aren't linked from that page, and then there's some projects that don't have a page at all and have no information, like the Evelyn path and like some of the smaller paths in the ATP that really, unless you're like listening to BPAC meetings, you wouldn't know had happened. So I would like to suggest, yeah, like a dashboard, but not just a text dashboard that just, has a list of the projects, but let's maybe explore if we can have like some sort of database that could put that into a map view, and you can see like maybe not a live, but a frequently updated bicycle map of Sunnyvale, and that shows like here's the, just like we have the current bike map that's now several years old and out of date. But that overlaid with here's the new things we've built. Here are the projects, a little dot for here's the projects that we're working on that you can explore on the map, right? So if you're not sure where a certain street is, and you see, oh, it's around the corner from my house, that you might be interested in it, you can see it. And also, having that dashboard show updates when there's project updates, when, this meeting has happened and here's the decision on this project, or, this project has moved in from design phase into construction or engineering phases. Seen those updates, because right now, me as an advocate, I'm basically just like refreshing the page once a week and looking like, hey, did this change from the last time I saw it? Like, is there anything new here? Is there a new file that's been uploaded, or a new design document, or anything like that? And it's a very manual process, and it leaves a lot to be desired just from a perspective of knowing what's going on, right? There's no kind of, maybe I wouldn't go as far as saying we need like a newsletter, but maybe, some sort of like web page that shows like a ticker feed of like, this project, is in construction, or this project is completed, or, these sorts of things are happening. And you can just see on the dashboard every little update that's going on, as well as seeing what's happened, what's going to happen, everything kind of in one place, really easy to see. So that's kind of my suggestion, something to explore or think about. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. That was our only online participant, Chair.
All right, thank you. If no more speakers, I will go ahead and close public comment at 7:30 p.m. I want to ask for discussion from my colleagues. First up, Commissioner Momin.
Yes. So first of all, this is my chance now to say hi, welcome. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for joining our city staff. I think you will find that we have a lot of expectations. I hope it's not scaring you so far, and that I'm glad that you are someone who actually bikes the walk and so forth. I liked to add in terms of comments that Daniel's idea of an interactive map actually is a pretty good one. There should be an interactive map of the city, of all the things identified in the ATP, and those that are in active status that people can zoom in or zoom out, to see what's actually going on, what's been completed, and then I guess in gray tones, what hasn't been started yet, kind of thing. But specifically identifying those areas that have been identified in the ATP, because otherwise people do physically have to read through the whole document and stuff like that. But having an interactive map of our city and its environs is actually a really good idea. So I hope you consider that for your website suggestion. And I hope you have the capabilities to pull it off. Other than that, if you want to know anything about what's going on in North Sunnyvale or whatever, please come up. And, a lot of stuff gets done in the central and southern parts of the city, but the north has been a long neglected area. And other than Moffett Park, which was pretty much a privately financed improvement, not much else has been going on in the north. And I think that's part of the critical thing, because there's two major disconnects. It's getting from the northern part of Sunnyvale to central Sunnyvale, and then getting from central Sunnyvale across El Camino Real to the rest of Sunnyvale are the big issues. So, and again, thank you, welcome, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Commissioner Golakota?
Thank you, Chair Begal. I want to add to what Commissioner Melman said. One of the challenges that North Sunnyvale faces is that many of the kids have to take public transportation, and which is not very consistent, which has its own issues because kids that are going into Fremont High School or Homestead High School, it's a very long commute. If they miss a bus, then they miss a period. So bicycling is one of the options for them. And right now, kids coming from the other side of 101, it is very risky right now. And for any parent to let go of their child to come from the other side of 101 all the way to Fremont High School is a considerable journey, and it's not a safe one. There are very few options that are safely taking them to Fremont High School or Homestead High School. So some of these considerations, I hope you can, in your biking routes, you can probably explore, and perhaps we can have some projects that could improve the conditions and make it more safer for our kids. Thank you.
All right, thank you. No more hands. Again, thanks for being here. I'm so happy to have someone and member of staff that takes the train and bikes to work. I don't know if it's every day, but whenever you come into the office, I'm not sure what your RTO is. But yeah, it's really refreshing to hear about just someone biking around the city, and I hope to hear that continue. And with that, no, Commissioner Hafman has his hand raised, so we'll go to him.
Yeah, I wanted to have a comment on slide 10. I don't know if you've been briefed yet, but the Class 3B design guidelines are still not real clear. And what's shown here is the thing that the public and myself personally is really concerned with. The double yellow line down the road means cars aren't supposed to pass a bicycle. But human nature being what it is, they're going to, but they're going to do it as quick as they can because they know they're breaking the law. And the Class 3B bike lanes I've been on in Palo Alto don't have striping at all down the middle of the road. And so, it's just a roadway. Bikes and cars are on the roadway. The other concern with that is the parking stripe is a solid white, which looks just like a bike lane. So if no cars are parked there, the motorist really gets mad, like, why in the heck aren't you in the bike lane? So I had to bring it up. And so you'll probably get very familiar with it. And once again, I'm looking forward to working with you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I guess with that, we're done with this agenda item, and we'll move on to, we go back to general order of business. Hold on one second. The script is out of order because we moved things around. All right. So the second order of business is public hearings and general business. We have item number 25-0128. The Matilda Avenue southbound travel lane and buffered bike lanes project. This will be an item that we need to give a motion on to give a recommendation to council. Okay, and I believe we have someone here to give us a presentation. Is there a report?
Yes, so my name is Tin. I have Nikita with me tonight to do a quick presentation about Matilda bike lane study. But also tonight, we would like to ask the commissioner to select an alternative to recommend to City Council. So to start with, project overview. So the study area is along Matilda between US 101 off-ramp and Mott Avenue. So Matilda Avenue is a major north-south arterial in Sunnyvale. It connect the Moffett Park Pacific Plan area to the north, and it also runs through Perry Park Special Plan Pacific Plan area Also, it connects downtown Sunnyvale, El Camino Real, Pacific Plan, and residential neighborhood to the south. Within the study segment, as you can see in the picture on the left, so it had 4 traffic signal. The first one is 101 up-ramp, Awani Avenue, San Alonso Avenue, and Mott Avenue. And also in the middle, there is one-stop control at Matilda and Delray Avenue. So what are our objective for this project? So we want to improve the safety for the bicycle by installing the new Class 2B buffer bike lane, as you can see, to match up with the northbound configuration. And then also we want to separate the bicyclists from the vehicular traffic. But also this project we're doing here is called the ATP, Active Transportation Plan, identify this study segment as a road diet, and also installation of Class 2B buffer bike lane. So also we want to expand our citywide bicycle network. So next, we'll have Nikita to go over all the detail with the project and all the study analysis and the timeline of the project also.
Thank you, Thane. So to start this project, we started with reviewing existing documentation that's available to the city of Sunnyvale. And out of all the documents that we reviewed, there were 4 that's somewhat more or less relevant for addition of this bike lane, with Sunnyvale ATP would be the one that actually identified the Class 2 buffered bike lane project along Matilda. And the others are just such as VTA 2040, it calls for some kind of continuous transportation, continuous bike lane, and then some other documents just talking about the accidents, and the Pier Park just wants more bicycle related facilities along the route. So this is our current schedule. We met with you back in June of 2024. Since then, we presented it. So during that meeting, we presented to you guys the project. Then we developed the conceptual design. We had several public meetings. And now it's August, and we're meeting with you again and hoping that you will make recommendation in September council meeting. Okay. So now let me talk about the project a little more. The current, as you can see currently, there are 4 lanes in the southbound direction without any bike lane, and there are 3 lanes with a buffered bike lane in a northbound direction. And the pictures actually show, oh, apologize. Changing the wrong thing. The pictures actually show what's currently out there. As you can see that in the southbound direction on the left picture, there are 4 lanes, no bike lane. And the picture on the right shows the bike lane, buffered bike lane. So this is the concept that we came up with, which kind of outlines where the bike lane is going to be. The idea is to take out one of the lanes, so it would be instead of 4 lanes, after Awani Avenue is going to be 3 lanes all the way down to Maud Avenue. Prior to Awani Avenue, currently we have 3 lanes plus a through right turn lane. We're going to convert that through right turn lane into a right turn only lane because of the kind of the traffic conditions. And one other thing to highlight, right before Maud Avenue, which is the last signal here, currently there is a bicycle lane already between Delray and Maud Avenue. However, we're adding buffer to that bicycle lane to kind of separate the vehicles from cyclists. And this slide just shows the cross section of what's going to happen. And then in the southbound direction, we'll have a 6-foot bike lane with a 5-foot buffer. and obviously 11 and 10 foot travel lanes. Okay. As part of the study, we also did a collision analysis. The city provided to us 5-year collisions from January 2019 to January 2024. Kind of to summarize, there were a total of 77 collisions. Out of those collisions, there were 36 that were injury-related and 4 pedestrian-related collisions. And we, with this map, we're kind of highlighting that there were 2 bicycle-related collisions, and 1 collision that's highlighted in green there is at Awani Avenue. The cyclist was going in the southbound direction on the wrong side of the road and was hit by a turning car. And another collision happened at Maud Avenue, where a cyclist was crossing Matilda Avenue, but they were crossing on the red light and were hit by a car. Also, as part of the study, we did a traffic analysis to understand whether the removal of the lane would significantly impact the traffic. And it doesn't look like the removal of the lane will actually impact the traffic. In the AM, you can expect about 3 seconds of delay per vehicle. In the PM, we're expecting about 12 seconds of delay per vehicle. And on the weekend, you can see it's a 6-second delay. So, okay. To promote the project, the city hosted multiple events, such as we had 2 public meeting events. We had a BPAC event, and then before the second public meeting event, we had a pop-up event, which 2 pop-up events. One pop-up event was held at the Plaza del Sol during the, I believe it was during lunch on Thursday. And then the second one was during the farmer's market on Saturday. To prepare for those pop-up events, we did a bunch of promotions such as digital advertisement through Facebook and Nextdoor. We sent out we gave out the palm cards. We also did the digital signage, as you can see on the picture on the right, where we said, hey, the public meeting is going to happen during this time. And then right now we're in the second BPAC presentation. Let's see. As we also held an online survey for this project, and the online survey had 94 respondents. Out of those 94 respondents, there were 5 questions, and the most relevant ones are displayed there. And that out of those 94 respondents, the most relevant is that 70% of the respondents actually drive solo or carpool with someone else. And out of those 94 respondents, 63 respondents said that the project would actually change how they travel on Matilda, whether it's using bikes or other way, right? If the bike lane is installed. And then out of those 63 respondents, actually 44 are the ones that are currently driving. And the last slide shows how much this project is actually going to cost. And just to note that this cost includes engineering, it includes design, all the administrative costs. And obviously the city is going to look for grants to cover this project, and then they will also look for opportunities to add this project to maybe a bigger project, that way to offset the cost of some administrative cost maybe. And at this point, that concludes my part. Okay, next.
Thank you, Nikita. So as Nikita had mentioned in the cost estimate table, there is 2 alternatives. One is we're gonna install a new Class 2 bike lane for the southbound on Matilda. The second alternative is remain the same, remain the existing condition, no change. So what staff recommendation is, we recommend the BPAC to to select alternative one, to remove one southbound travel lane, to install class 2 buffer bike lane on Matilda between Awani to Mott Avenue. So with that said, we conclude our presentation, and thank you for listening. And any question?
All right, thank you. As a reminder to my colleagues, please request to speak by using your microphone. Your microphone will immediately unmute, but I will call on you when it is your turn to speak. Once finished speaking, please mute your microphone. Are there any questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Golokota.
Thank you, Chair Bagel. Great presentation. Thank you so much for that. My question is regarding the online surveys that you're doing. What is the goal for doing the survey? Like I saw the slide 11 where you've the proposed changes, you estimate that, it will not make beyond a few seconds difference from making the change to removing the existing car lane to a bike lane. That when you did the survey, I'm not understanding what the goal was. What were you trying to find with the survey? Do you have any help with the survey in terms of like how these surveys need to be formulated, or is it something that our staff is doing based on previous experience from other surveys? Like what's going on?
I can take a stab at to answer your question. So the survey, so our goal is try to understand currently what is people using that southbound for, like commuting, and then is there any like bicyclists out there? And then if there is a bicyclist, and then if we do these improvement, was they, pro or against it? And then also, this survey also want to get the feedback from the commuter also, because as you show here on slide 11, so there will be couple second delay. So we want to have those feedback from them, comment from them. So because later on, all the documentation here will show to the city council, and then we'll have some proof that, hey, we asked the resident, we notify resident, and not the resident, commuter also, because this is the big commuter corridor. So we want to kind of advertise this project, so everyone be aware of that. They have a chance to make a comment or feedback to us. Then we can bring all of that to show city council what the feedback. And then also that's why tonight also we show you guys the results of the survey, and then you guys be able to make the decision tonight also, right?
So this entire recommendation, is it coming from the 94 respondent, the results of the 94 respondents, or is it the 30% who live within the 5 blocks of it? Or I don't know what the 70% is. Is it 70% belonging to the 70% of the 94 respondents, or is it of the 30% that are living within the 5 blocks? Like what do these numbers mean?
The recommendation is unrelated to the survey response. That's just letting you know of the people who saw the survey and filled it out, how many of them live within the study area. So the 30% is just saying, those are not why the recommendation is being made.
So are these
I do want to add on to that. So, based on our analysis, so we did a lot of analysis. We look at traffic data. We coordinated with Caltrans because a portion of it is also with Caltrans. And then we look at the survey results, and then we also look at, like the overall network to see if removing a travel lane makes sense, whether adding a bike lane here makes sense, whether the survey support our recommendations, whether, the traffic analysis support removal of a travel lane. So it's a combination of things that we take a look at when we actually develop the staff recommendation.
Okay. Are these 94 respondents using Mathilda Avenue?
Yes,
Okay.
they are.
Okay. The 70% that you quote out there are traveling solo, carpool, all these things. What were you trying to get by understanding which way they were trying to use Mathilda Avenue? Like, what were you trying to understand from, and why did you not distinguish the solo travelers versus carpool? I know with the active transportation plan, we are trying to increase more sustainable ways of transportation, right? Instead of using the gas fueled ways or energy driven ways. So were you trying to gather any information from that perspective, or?
I can try to answer this. So the meaning behind this showing this is that we want, because here the thing is we taking away one travel lane, so we want to understand. We want to understand that, okay, how many percent of people travel in Matilda by driving? In driving means sometimes they can drive solo, they can drive with people, carpool to work, because Matilda is the major arterial, right? So that's why when we remove one lane, we take the survey, we want to know the percentage, and then we want to let the people driving to know that, hey, we're taking away one lane, and what do you think? And then they will provide comment in there for us. And then if most of them supporting this project, that means that, hey, we have the documentation to make our staff recommendation. So does that answer your question?
They're traveling solo or carpool does not matter. They're traveling on Matilda matters, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And their choice may not change based on whether we have that lane or not, right? Is it something that you're trying to understand, like how it impacts the taking of the travel lane? I'm just trying to understand like how these surveys are formed. So that is where my question is coming from, not to criticize the survey,
Right.
but I'm trying to understand.
Well, like as Lillian had mentioned that, so we have the conceptual design already. So right now we develop that because we look at collision analysis, traffic analysis, volume collected, and we look at all the different design out there, and then we kind of want to align all the bicycle lane, like one shot. So we wanted to have a supportive document. So all of the thing I listed above, but also with the survey, when we advertising the survey, so we get more supportive from people providing feedback. Because in the city, sometimes when we do project, we could get feedback from people. Hey, how come I'm not aware of this? Why are you doing this project? Why are you doing that project? So this part of the survey, it kind of wanted to notify people they have a chance to provide comment also.
Okay.
And can I add real
Yeah.
quick? Sorry. So the survey was actually promoted during the first public meeting event. It was also promoted during the two pop-up events that we had at the Plaza del Sol and at the farmers market. We handed out the palm cards. We had the QR code for them to actually go there. So we're just looking for as much feedback, as much public participation as possible that way. So that was
The public participation should result in information that is useful for making decisions, right?
correct.
So that is where I'm trying to understand.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
So yeah, you're right. You just mentioned a really good point. So for us staff, we are collecting all the documentation and then we show it to BPAC and then show to City Council. So you guys and City Council will be the one that making the call. So
Okay.
yeah.
The 44 of them are currently driving, carpool, take transit or walk. What about the other 19 people? What were they using? Or they're not using Matilda Avenue? My understanding is that all the 94 respondents are using Matilda Avenue, right?
Right. So all the 94 actually using Matilda Avenue, and the 63 respondents out of those 94 said that if we add the bike lane, it will change how they travel. Okay. And then we looked, okay, those 40, out of those 63 who actually uses, because out of those 94, some already use either a bus or maybe a bike or walk or whatnot, because they all mentioned that in the questions that we didn't list here, because otherwise the survey would be long, right? So 44 out of those 63 actually driving, and they said that they will change how they will travel. So
And the other 19 may not change. Is that right?
it will change, however, they use other ways of transportation, such as maybe a bus.
Well, so
Okay.
if I may, it says 44 of them are driving, carpool, taking transit, which would include a bus or walking.
Mhm.
The other 19, I assume, are the ones that are just biking. But those people that are just biking also indicated that this project would change how they use the corridor. So it could potentially be a biker that's thinking they might use the corridor more often or something. Like it's going to change their travel patterns through Matilda, even if they're not taking one of those listed forms of transportation. They're probably just biking, but it still could change the way they use the space.
I'm curious what that would look like. Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
I bike through the area, but I almost
I mean, ooh,
never go through Matilda because of how dangerous it is. And so
Yeah.
if this project happened, I might choose it as my route.
So the 19 that are currently using Matilda Avenue, they said that it will change, but we do not know how, right? Like, so they're probably biking, but I wonder what the change would be like. They're already using Matilda Avenue, but I mean, if it is safer, then it is not like really changing, right? I mean, they're feeling safe. So I'm just curious.
It might
Is
be
it
the
the-
hours of day that they're on the road, like maybe they only bike on it during daytime, or it could be that they get on Matilda, but they only get on Matilda after south of Maud, where there is a lane. And if they had a lane north of Maud, they would be on it for north as well.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We will go to Commissioner Melman.
First of all, thank you both for the presentation. I do appreciate it. I think you characterized this as a road diet, only because there's a lane being taken away. But the other part of the road diet, is it not supposed to calm traffic to make it safe for all users?
That is not the intent for this project. So basically, when we call road diet, it is any project that would reduce the number of travel lanes.
Okay. I understand you're characterizing that as a road diet, but I would disagree with that characterization. So my question is that, number one, the loss of the lane is not going to reduce the vehicular speed on the other three remaining lanes, correct?
This is something that we would after if and after this improvements is implemented, we would potentially do an after study to understand how it would impact or whether it would change the travel speed.
Okay, the reason why I'm asking this question is because you're proposing buffered bike lanes, and they are widely buffered. I understand that. But there is no physical barrier between the cyclists and the motorists at those speeds on Matilda. And so what I'm asking is, why is this proposal not specifying like bollards, like Mountain View installed in their bike lanes? I'm not talking, like I realize there are driveways and entrances and exits, but I, as a cyclist, looking at this, am concerned of the fact that I would not necessarily feel safer with paint as opposed to a physical separation at some point.
So staff is really focusing on implementing recommendations in the ATP. And at the time that the ATP was developed, this corridor was recommended to be upgraded to a Class 2B. And therefore, the focus of the study is looking at whether we could reduce a travel lane to put in the buffer bike lane as recommended in the ATP. That's why we're not looking at other facility type. We're only focusing on what's has been recommended in the ATP.
Okay, and the ATP was performed several years ago, so, situations change. So my question would be that I understand you're going for the basic, which is just putting in bicycle infrastructure. But while we're looking at installing bicycle infrastructure, why are we not installing the best bicycle infrastructure to make it physically safer for the cyclist? Because to be honest, even if you put this infrastructure in, I don't bike Matilda, and there's a reason for that.
I mean, like I mentioned before, we're focusing on implementing recommendations that was identified in the ATP. So we're not trying to make additional recommendation at this stage. We're just looking at, like whether this study is really focusing on whether we could reduce a travel lane to put in bike lane or not.
Okay, so we're getting our bike lane, but why aren't we getting the better bike lane?
That was not what was recommended in the ATP. So
The
we're trying-
ATP
we
was
are trying to-
recommending we put bicycle infrastructure in on Matilda. I understand that. But the question is why are we not raising the bar on the bicycle infrastructure that we're installing? I mean, is it going to cost all that much more to have physical barrier?
So like I mentioned, we are just trying to follow what the recommendation in the ATP. That's why we're not looking at infrastructure that different from what's recommended in the ATP.
Okay. All right, then I guess I'll have to have my comment on that. If we could go to slide 13, I believe it is. Okay, with respect to the survey where it says 63% of the respondents said the project would change how they travel in the area. What was the actual question of that thing? Was the question just, would this project change how you travel in the area, or did it actually break it down into granularity as to how it would change how they travel in the area?
No, the question was simply, would the addition of the bike lane change how you travel in this area?
Ah, okay. So it didn't actually indicate whether these people, 63 people, would consider using bicycle infrastructure, using the infrastructure that we're providing.
Yes.
Okay.
I think there was a short response. I took the survey because I lived.
Okay, there might have been a written response. And what I'm asking is that this question is so, it's such a big question. It's not getting to the granularity. It's saying, yeah, it'll change how they travel in the area. It might be that they avoid the area now. And, that's how they're avoiding it to travel, which is fine because we reduce the number of vehicles. It's safer for us and so on. But I want to know how it actually will change how they travel in the area. And it doesn't really ask that.
I get the feeling that the way the survey questions have been reported tonight combined a lot of the information in the survey, which is causing confusion for my fellow commissioners. I think when I took it, it felt relatively straightforward, and it felt natural for me to say, yes, it will change how I bike in the area, such that if I find myself on Matilda, I'll consider biking southbound instead of avoiding it, which is what I would have done before. So anyway, I think the short answer, area enabled you to explain extra circumstances, and that information may not have been presented here tonight for brevity's sake.
Well, they're stating that that's not the case. They're stating that that was the actual question, and that although you're pointing out there was a box whenever there, because I took the survey as well. What I'm saying is that in the asking is that I wanted to know, does this actually break down how people will change? Because what they're doing that is saying, they're pointing to this value and saying that this will change how 63 people travel in the area, or 63 out of the whatever the respondents, whatever percentage that is. So that as an indication that this is a good idea. But what I'm concerned with the way the question is phrased is that it's not actually giving us the data on how this will truly affect how people travel in the area. What is their action? What will they do? Yeah, it's going to change how they travel in the area, but it's not telling us will they feel safer, is what I guess I'm getting to. But anyway, I don't want to get too much in the weeds on the survey, because the question before us tonight is, should we do option one or should we do nothing? So I'll let other commissioners ask their question. But that was my thing is mostly I just wanted to know we're putting paint down, we're putting in a huge buffer area, but we're not putting in a physical barrier on a major artery. And so the question is then, I realize that was the recommendation, but so the question is, why aren't we doing more other than the recommendation? Thank you.
So, okay, just to clarify, you've gotten the answer to your question?
Yes.
Okay, okay. And then you've lowered you muted, so then we will go to Commissioner Haveman.
Yeah, back to slide 9. The bike lane shows being 6 feet wide, but that does include the drain pan. How wide is the drain pan on Matilda there?
I think it's a little over 1 foot, but unfortunately we haven't measured it to tell you
But
that.
it's around a foot?
Yeah. Well, the typical standard bike lane is 5 feet with a drain pan per the California Manual of Uniform Traffic.
Yeah, I was concerned it might be a 2 foot, given the nature of the road, but that would be a problem. But if it's a 1 foot, that's.
I think that's typical, but I'm not 100% sure. So.
Okay. Oh, and also, just curiosity, Matilda has 10-foot lanes? I mean, the semi trucks go down that.
No,
road.
Matilda
No,
in the existing condition. So if you scroll up, there.
The old one too, the width of the travel lanes, you say are 10 foot, except for the rightmost lane, which is 11 foot.
Some of them, yes, actually, you're right. So, and I can even measure it for you after this. If you
That's curious.
But that is correct. Typically, even on a truck route, we do try to keep the most right lane, 11 foot, so that those trucks could travel on the rightmost lane, alongside with VTA buses.
Like the express buses should not get in anything but the right lane.
Correct.
Because they're wider than 10 feet.
Correct. So the bus, because Matilda Avenue is also a bus route, so we do have at least one travel lane that's 11 foot wide, so that we can accommodate the buses.
Okay, I was just curious. Thanks.
All right, thank you. I have some questions of my own. First, I want to go back to very briefly to the ATP question and the question about like, okay, ATP says class 2B bike lanes. Why can't we do more than that? So just for clarification, when city staff reads the ATP and it says class 2B, it's not like being read as class 2B or better. It's class 2B flat.
Correct.
Okay. What would it take to modify the ATP to just like add or better to like they're just to change how the ATP is interpreted in these situations? So like that's the baseline, and like if room or spacing permits, allow it like the ATP to be interpreted as an or better.
I think it's a policy item. The other thing is also that staff is working really hard trying to implement ATP. So, we're really focusing on implementing items that were recommended in there.
So, but like having that or better wouldn't preclude you from keeping it 2B, right? It would just remove the prevention of it being better, right?
Then we'll have to go route by route, trying to determine if each roadway segment would meet, which facility would fit better based on land use, based on driveway distances, based, like number of driveways and so forth. So there's a lot of like an extra layer of evaluation to be done if we don't follow what was already identified.
I totally understand that, and I definitely understand that process would require extra effort and extra hours and extra staffing. Would you say that would be a significant increase, or is that like evaluation of what would fit? Like how much of the project is that? Like, is that getting like significantly increased staff efforts per project to have the ability to do that?
I think it depends on the corridor. And some location where, where we identified it to be a class 2B, it might not even be wide enough to put in like a physical barrier.
That would be a pretty quick thing to
So
determine, right?
it is a corridor by corridor decision.
Right. Council liaison. Do you think there would, and I know you can't speak on behalf of the council, do you think there would be a willingness from the council to like consider potentially changing how the ATP is influenced in this manner to like be a little bit more loose in what staff is permitted to do in these situations? Or, and I know you can't speak on behalf of the council, but
I cannot speak on behalf of the council.
yeah.
I have a one-on-one with the city manager tomorrow morning and I can discuss it with him. And just exactly how much work would be involved. And if you want to follow up with me about that offline, we can discuss.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm very curious to hear what the city manager thinks about this. Okay. Okay. Slide 8, if we could get that pulled up. And then while we have this up, if you could just get, I want a Google Maps view of this page, but not yet. Just if you could get that prepared. Okay. So on the, well, actually, I'm gonna have you zoom in on this map while we're here, if that's okay. Is it possible to zoom in onto the Maud and Matilda intersection? Like way in. Bottom right. Bottom right. A little bit bigger because it's. There we
You're
go.
very needy tonight, Chair.
All right. Okay. So before I go too far with this, where do the project boundaries end on the southern end of this portion?
So let's see, under the existing conditions, south of Maud Avenue, change from 4 travel lanes to 3 travel lanes, so just south of it. So what we're looking at is trying to see if we could kind of match that configuration. So we kind of extended beyond a little bit south of Maud so that, if we were to actually reduce the traveling on Maud, we make that transition a little earlier so it doesn't go from 3 back to 4 and back to 3 again. So therefore, you can see some striping there south of Maud just because of that reason.
Oops, I didn't realize I muted it. Okay, with the current configuration, is there a bike lane on the southbound side south of Maud? Or is it, it's just a lane that, it's like a merge lane, right? There's no bike lane there?
There is a bike lane.
There is a bike lane
there's a
all the
bike
way
lane.
up to the intersection?
Yeah.
Okay.
It starts from Del Rey Avenue to Maud, and then past Maud, it continues down south.
Okay, so even though it's hatched here, there is a bike lane that's present.
Yes, there's a bike lane and there is a merge lane. So we're hatching out the merge lane.
Okay.
Yeah, the bike lane stays.
Okay, and then I believe the other portions of the map indicated bus stops, but there's a bus stop here too, right?
Yes.
Okay, I think the icon just might be missing. How are the buses going to be using this space if there's the hatching to like the buffer? Are they just gonna get in the buffer?
Well, this is an exhibit and this is just to show what will be done. But when the design will continue, I mean, obviously everything's going to be thought through, right? And minor changes, minor fine tuning will be done to this to actually do it properly per the code. So, or per how it's displayed elsewhere. So.
Got it. Okay. But like, I'm trying to understand.
So this is a conceptual design. So what if and when we do have funding, then we'll move into the actual design phase. And during that phase, we will do a more detailed design and along the entire corridor.
Okay, because I'm just a bit concerned that, I understand this is a conceptual design. I'm a bit concerned that this design will not work as expected because of the bus stop there.
Given the merge lane, we do have an extra space in that location, so we could potentially think of something that's not, the space is not as constrained at other locations, so likely we'll be able to provide a design that would work best for both, bicyclists, the bus and other vehicles.
Okay. I look forward to seeing what that looks like. But as long as there is a bike lane there that continues to stay there and it doesn't create this weird conflict zone where the bus has to get in the hatching or in the bike lane, then I think that's reasonable. The other option would be to widen the sidewalk further, but whatever. Then so slide 11, please. Actually, sorry, I had you pull up the Google Maps thing. I ended up not needing that. I apologize. Yeah, all right, slide 11, please. Okay, so for this travel time, this is average, this is worst case, P90. What are we looking at here?
This is average. Average, so 3 seconds per vehicle on average.
3 seconds increase.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Oh, I guess it does say average there. I was looking all over the thing and I didn't read the one thing that said average. What do we have an analysis for like what the variance is here? Like the P9, the P75, P90, P99, like worst case scenarios. Because like average is very different than like say a day when there's extra traffic or something. Like if there's more traffic, is it going to increase significantly more? Like I'm curious because average is a very you're taking what is probably something like a bell curve and condensing it into a single number. And that's hard to get a grasp of like what the true impact will look like. Do we have further numbers that are more than just an average, or is this what we get?
Are you actually worried about the vehicle travel time?
No, I'm not worried about it, and I would like to be able to point to it and be like, even in the worst case, it is not actually increasing that much.
I get it. Okay.
And you definitely can't say that unless you see the bell curve.
Yeah, exactly. I would like to see the bell curve.
No, we don't have that bell curve, unfortunately.
Okay.
It's basically you simulate that you provide the simulation and the simulation spits out the number. And that's pretty much it. I mean, yes, you can do the bell curve, but it gets more into deeper analysis at that point.
Okay. Okay, got it. Limitation, we don't have it.
It would be really interesting to see if the result of this is that right now rush hour is from, let's say, 8 a.m. until 9:45, and by removing a lane, rush hour goes from 8 a.m. until 10:45, and the change in travel time is roughly 8 seconds in the middle, and then roughly 0 after 11 a.m. You know what I mean? So it's like you'll be sitting in traffic. The bumper to bumper period is longer and worse, but the free flowing time is roughly the same. Anyway, it could go a lot of different ways.
There's a lot of analysis here that's being condensed into one number, but I understand that we have our limitations. Okay.
We're not going to play violins for cars.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But okay, so we have a single number here. Actually, I'll wait till the comment portion to go further on this. I have some comments on it. Then I believe the last time we saw this item, there was a bit of discussion of removing right on red at some of these intersections. I think that some of the commissioners mentioned that.
I don't think there is right on red at those intersections. There's one at Almanor coming out making a right.
So right on red's already
That was, yeah, at Almanor, I think. That was recently added with the Matilda overchange project. But south of that, I don't think there are any.
Okay. So there is one intersection with right on red though.
Give me a second.
Yes, I think at Matilda Awani, you go westbound, right turn. That's a no right turn on red. Yeah.
Because I thought I had remembered there being concern that removing right unread would lead to extra, I'm gonna pull up my map again, extra congestion on the road that would back up to the freeway, but you're saying it's already no red on red?
At that Rawani interchange, there's no right on red because there's a new slip lane that goes directly into the 101 northbound ramp.
Mhm.
And so I'm sorry, southbound ramp, 101 southbound.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sorry.
right, yeah.
And so the reason why they removed that right turn on red is you cannot have the vehicle traffic proceeding straight into that new slip lane that's dedicated to the on-ramp to southbound 101 at the same time, this here.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
but that's the northbound portion. I'm talking southbound. Like
It's
from
not
Matilda
main-
onto Maud, or from Matilda onto Del Rey, or
Well, they were explaining why there
Yeah.
was no right turn on
So there's
red at
already
that
a right.
location, yeah.
Yeah.
So I believe your concern last time we met was that going southbound, we have 4 lanes. And we're converting it to 3 lanes plus a dedicated right turn lane. So your concern was that that traffic is gonna back up. And it's I think that was, I remember somebody had that concern. And it currently kind of backs up to the ramp.
yeah, okay. That is a separate concern, but
Yeah.
back up over the bike lane is what or
So currently, the right turn, the way the traffic works is in the AM, that through right is mostly used by people that are actually making a right turn lane. So converting it to the right turn lane is actually makes it work better. Okay. In a PM, it's kind of 50-50. Actually, not a lot of people making it right there. So they're all kind of going through. But in the PM, there's also already traffic backing up. Even with 4 lanes or 3 lanes, it's already backing up past the ramps.
okay. Well, yeah, so there's a concern with the backup, but there's also the concern of the people using the intersection of the crosswalk and right on red being more dangerous for that. But it sounds like it's not a thing. Maybe I guess I must have missed.
Yeah, there is no right turn on red on Matilda anywhere.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, sounds good to me. I guess I misremembered how that worked. And I think that might be. Oh, I have one last question regarding the recommended alternative. The recommended alternative has us find that this is exempt from CEQA, or find that the action is exempt from CEQA. Why is the commission why is the commission recommending that it's found that it's exempt from CEQA? One, we didn't even see that there was CEQA mentioned anywhere in this presentation. So like, how are we supposed to have the knowledge to make that recommendation in the first place? Just kind of like a little bit of a
think
meta.
I might have some clarity on this.
Okay.
At some point over the past couple years, staff started, for items that had commission input, staff started reusing the commission reports for council. And my suspicion is we as council will have to make the declaration that this is CEQA exempt. And my suspicion is that the wires got crossed and it was just the staff recommendation for council that got handed to you.
Okay, got it. Okay, because yeah, I don't know how I'm supposed to make this recommendation, but
If I might gently suggest, if it is the will of the commission to recommend alternative 1, you might make a motion along the lines of recommend class 2 bike lanes and just not mention CEQA.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, sorry, Tasman, you saw we have that.
Yeah, and I saw it again as like, I should ask now. Okay, that is the end of my questions. We got some more hands from Commissioner Wilson.
Yeah, I have just one question. So I'm curious how we're envisioning that this southbound bicycle lane will help bicycle connectivity. Is the expectation that cyclists will stay on Matilda, or will they turn left and get onto Sunnyvale? I know in downtown Sunnyvale, the Sunnyvale Road is pretty safe for cyclists and the speed limit is low. So is this the idea that this is funneling people from north of Sunnyvale onto Sunnyvale Road for the central section if they're continuing south?
So yeah, so the current ATP actually has that there is a bicycle lane starting from that whole Moffett Park area, right? And it continues southbound across across the interchange. And there's no bicycle lane pretty much from Mawani all the way to Delray. So it's completely missing, right? And then it reappears again and continues down all the way south down to city of Cupertino at that point. So the idea is to fill in that gap. So the idea here is to, yes, funnel all the people that actually want to travel in Matilda but can't because they're afraid of that particular section. We're giving them an option to, okay, you have that option to actually travel in it, or you have an option, obviously, to take Borregas and all the bridges and whatnot and do Sunnyvale Avenue. So
You answered the question, yeah.
And then we would still expect that the bike lane, does the bike lane southbound on Matilda go over the train tracks at Evelyn, or does it? So the bridge has a bike lane, and then south of the bridge it does
yes,
not.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're moving the frontier to south of the train tracks. In terms of Matilda, there's still no bike lane going southbound. Right, through, yeah, all of Iowa, these roads right here, they're all there's no bike lane there.
Oh, there is.
Correct. We are, like, right now for that portion, we don't have all the right of way required to put in a bike lane, so we are looking for opportunity to get more right of way as properties redevelop.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. That is the end of commissioner questions. The time is 8:28 p.m. I will go ahead and open the public hearing on this specific item. Members of the public wishing to address the commission, please submit a speaker card to the staff liaison. Use the raise hand feature now or dial star 9 on a telephone to indicate you wish to speak. I will call members of the public participating in person first. Then the staff liaison will ask remote participants to unmute when it is their turn to address the commission. Speakers will have 3 minutes to speak. I have no in-person speakers cards or in-person attendees. So staff liaison, do we have any remote participants wishing to speak on this item?
We do, Chair. I have Daniel Karpilovich. Daniel, you've been unmuted and you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
All right. Hi, everyone again. So just to start off, this project is, obvious. It's a slam dunk. We have proof it won't cause any issues because the northbound side has been in place with 3 lanes forever and it hasn't been a problem. This will close a pretty egregious gap in the network. Currently, you'd have to be pretty crazy to bike here, and I'm saying that as an experienced, confident, and frankly fearless cyclist. So this project is just really just a no-brainer. The 4th lane isn't needed. The road diet will also improve safety for drivers, in my opinion. So there's that too. This project isn't perfect though. First, it would be a great opportunity to implement a protected bike lane, as was mentioned earlier. On such a fast road, it's really the only safe option. It's truly safe. And also, I'm disappointed that this project could not be done concurrently with the pavement and striping project that was recently completed. I understand if it wasn't possible to speed up the study issue process, but we should have then at least delayed that project, the pavement project, until this design was ready. So, you could have done both at the same time. You would have saved a bunch of money, a bunch of time, right? A bunch of construction impacts and delays versus having to do the striping twice. This project would have cost less, which means we could have gotten it done, we could have gotten more done. I hope that in the future, we can improve the coordination between the city staff, that do the various roles, and we can, improve the inefficiencies, so these sorts of things don't happen again. Because it's kind of a little bit embarrassing that we just repaved it and then we're going to restripe it again a year or 2 from now, hopefully. So perhaps this is an opportunity for our new active transportation planner to take the lead to ensure that any pavement projects include planned improvements and design from the start, so we don't have to kind of have this weird thing again. I also wanted to quickly just do a quick correction. Buses are not over 10 feet wide. They're actually about 8.5 to 9 feet wide at most, including the mirrors. They can fit just fine in a 10-foot lane, regularly do so elsewhere, regularly fit into even narrower lanes than that. VTH is being picky, if I'm being really honest. So an 11-foot lane is not needed for anything really. It's more of a comfort thing. So in summary, BPAC recommend alt 1. I also ask that you recommend for council to consider this a class 4. Thank you.
We have no other participants, Chair.
All right, thank you. I will go ahead and close the public hearing at 8:32 p.m. I want to now ask for discussion from my colleagues. We have Commissioner Hafman first.
Yeah, I'm ready to make a motion.
Do we want to do a bit more? I mean, I can't prevent you from making the motion if you want to do it now, by
No,
Parliament.
if you want more discussion, but it seems like we beat it to death already.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I want you to know I'm willing to make a motion.
Okay. We'll jump to who is next. Oh, okay. We'll go through the hands. I think, and then we'll come back to you for the motion, just in case someone wants to say something first. We'll go to, I don't know who was first, but we're going to go to Commissioner Golakota.
Thank you, Chair Bagel. I do think if the funding can be obtained, I think this is a great opportunity for the Class 2B bike lanes to be installed. It is a busy corridor, and installing Class 2B bike lanes might encourage a lot of commuters that are going on Matilda. I know a lot of people use a lot of buses on El Camino, come to Matilda, and then get off for other means of transportation to get on other buses or some other ways to get to Moffett Park. So having Class 2B bike lanes will improve the opportunities for people to use their bikes to go to Moffett Park. It is possible because it's a much larger arterial that can allow that. So that's number one thing. Number two thing is, I would really like us to think, I mean, at the city level, if these surveys could be run by us at the BPAC, some of these things need much more granular detail, and I'm concerned that we are not capturing the data that each of us commissioners added a different angle that we would have wanted to know. So wondering if for future studies, if that is an option where we can weigh in on these surveys that are being made. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Melman?
Yes, actually, I would like to propose a comment be added to our recommendation, and that the Class 2B bike lane should actually be physically separated. If the funding can be found for bollard or barrier separation installation at the time that this project is approved in its design phase. I don't see why we can't make that recommendation.
I'm going to cut in for a moment. I would recommend that if commissioners have questions of staff, that now is the time for that. But if you're going to be speaking in favor of or against a possible motion or making amendments to such a motion, that it would be best to allow the motion to be made first.
Fair enough. I thought when we make a motion, we have to vote on the whole entirety of the motion. So how can we amend the motion after it's been approved?
There is a procedure for making an amendment to a motion before it has been voted on. So the motion is made, the motion is discussed, and amendments are proposed.
Fair
and then
enough.
The motion.
Then I will await Commissioner Hafman's motion for my friendly amendment.
Yeah. I mean, you can still voice that like you'd like to do this without like trying to amend the motion. Yeah, I still think it's perfect. Yeah. So I had two comments to make because I wanted to first respond to Commissioner Golicota's point about the surveys. I totally agree that there's value in having extra granularity with the survey, but there's always a trade-off to getting more granularity. The more questions you ask, the fewer respondents are going to finish the survey. And so you need to have a balance between what you're getting and what you're asking and how long it takes to do the survey. And I think if we had gone further into the granularity, would have not have gotten 94 responses. Now, where that line should lie is, I think, could move. We could decide, okay, having extra granularity is worth the drop in respondents. But I just something to keep in mind as any survey is created. And then I also wanted to just make one comment about the travel time increases that were on that slide again. It doesn't need to be pulled up, so don't worry about it. But it was an average increase of 3 to 12 seconds of delay per vehicle. And I really want staff to hammer home those numbers, that it's 3 to 12 seconds. It's a tiny, minuscule number. And it's a very little impact on the vehicles that are going through the corridor. When we heard the Tasman bike lanes a couple weeks ago in the commission and at council, staff put in the recommendation that our study did not demonstrate that we would have an impact. Like the study did not demonstrate there'd be an impact on travel time or a significant impact. But there were a number of members of the public that still came and gave public comment saying this is going to make traffic so much worse, even though in the slides, the study had shown it was not going to make traffic worse. And so calling it out as much as you possibly can that it's going to be a negligible increase, I think is beneficial for any project like this. Just more awareness from the members of the public. And with that, actually, Commissioner Wilson has their hand up as well, so I'll go to them first.
Yeah, I wanted to address the assertion that that we should really be pursuing, I guess, class 4 fully separated bike lanes wherever possible. I think absolutely it's a good idea, but given the ATP is set out for 2B, I think obviously we shouldn't slow down the process in order to get 4s when 2Bs are also within reach. I find that 40 miles per hour, while it's fast, it's not unreasonable. There are many 40 mile per hour roads in the city that do have 2 or 2B bike lanes on them. And personally, I don't find that to be too objectionable, but maybe that's just me. While I have the floor, I would like to ask a question of Nikita. Do we have any numbers as to northbound traffic times, given the 3 lanes on the northbound side?
Existing or proposed?
Well, existing, just the default. Because we're talking about 12 to 3. I'm wondering, do these numbers bring us in line with northbound travel times, or are we exceeding?
Well, hold on. We're comparing existing going southbound without the bike lane with existing going southbound with a bike lane and only 3 lanes. But what you're asking is, do we have the comparison to the northbound with and without the bike lane, or?
Just today's northbound, either the simulated south. I guess I'm not super concerned about the lane or no lane, but just south versus north. Do we have a number for northbound travel?
I don't think we collected data for the northbound direction.
Not for this.
Yeah, not for the study, because our study is focusing on looking at southbound.
Right. Okay.
Am I allowed to make a quick comment on this? I just want to, because there was this whole discussion about the 2B versus class 4 bike lanes and whatnot, right? Class 4, well, the first to answer the original question about the cost is significantly more, significantly more to add that, because we work on many different projects and the cost is, however, because you're not only modifying the curb, sidewalk, gutter, it's quite more, right? Now, adding the protective elements, yeah, you can definitely add the protective elements. And that could be maybe decided during the design. However, it may not fall within how the city of Sunnyvale does it everywhere else, right? So it may be slightly different situation here, and not all the members of the public or cyclists actually like them sometimes. Like personally, I'm a cyclist. I'm not, I don't like those as much because of the accidentally hitting it with a handlebar, right? However, what I also wanted to make a comment on, like the main thing is, if we're considering adding something more to that particular small stretch, are we going to expand further north all the way to Moffett Park or further south? Because that's where the cost increases. Otherwise, you'll have this very small section of, okay, we'll have this protective, super protected bike lane where not a lot of people travel to start with, right? Like cyclists travel. But everywhere else is just going to be a normal bike lane, sometimes buffered, sometimes not. So that's, it's kind of a bigger picture that you got to look at. So that's it. Thank you.
Yes, so if I might respond to your bigger picture. The reason why is because in this case, the size of the buffer is so large. I think how many feet did you say the buffer width was going to be? It was 5 feet. Okay, so a 5-foot buffer zone. We can accommodate having, those plastic bollards. And the reason why, and even though they will not prevent a vehicle from smashing into a cyclist, they are a physical barrier that prevents the wandering vehicle from somebody being inattentive, from just creeping over paint, because we all know that paint does not save lives. You have to physically separate the infrastructure. And yes, we will be looking at the paint we have further down the road in the city. That has been an issue before this BPAC and will continue to be an issue before this BPAC. But there are various factors as to why we haven't addressed the paint versus physical separation issue, which we're still working on. So.
And to that point, though, I think I feel that just a month ago we got the report on collision data, and I don't think any of the fatalities or injuries involved the car and the bike moving the same direction, where the car drove into the bike lane to hit the cyclist. Usually it's a conflict in terms of they're going different directions, or the bicycle's going the wrong way in the bike lane and falls over.
Right, but the point of infrastructure is not to wait for the conditions to appear. It's to avoid the conditions arising to begin with. And there are driveways there. Like, I don't want to have to argue with a 3,000-pound car about McDonald's entrances and so forth. So that's why.
We should move on.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. We will go back to Commissioner Haifman, who I presume who still wants to make his motion.
Okay, yes, I move that we accept alternative 1 with the following comments. No opinion on CEQA. And second of all, when detailed design is done, the project is funded and detailed design is done, that class 4 upgrade from class 2B be not automatically excluded. In other words, class 4 should be considered when the detailed design is being done.
I just want to make sure staff doesn't have any concerns with that motion. Is that like something,
They can't have concerns.
well, like, that's in the scope of what we can make a motion on, is like, because it kind of that it broadens the scope of the project, I think, right? To like add an extra consideration. Is there any concern with making that motion?
It is, and it's not necessarily alternative 1 because it is making modifications.
I have no concerns with that motion under the Brown Act. I think it's close enough to what was originally noticed and that it's within the purview of the item.
So it'll be
And as this is only a recommendation.
So it'll be alternative 1 with modifications and then listing out what the modifications would be.
Okay, and just could you repeat the modification?
Yes, 2 modifications. Number 1, we have no opinion on CEQA. And number 2, when detailed design is done, consider upgrading Class 2B to Class 4. And that, we're not saying our strong recommendation is it has to be that, but we don't want to say, now I'm not, that's not part of the motion now, I'm commenting.
Well, you have to let us, and then you
Yeah,
could comment on.
you can
your
speak to your
motion.
motion
Okay.
Okay, so I said, yeah.
All right, do we have a second? We have Commissioner Moman.
So, yes, I will second your motion, and I would ask that the word recommend, consider be changed to recommend rather than consider Class 4.
Just
I
doing
would accept that.
Okay? All right. And so now you may speak to your motion.
Okay, the big thing here, the big boulder in the room is getting a bike lane in that section of Matilda. I've ridden that. I've never commuted that way, but I've ridden it quite a bit, and it's not a fun ride. And a 6-foot wide buffer, I'll have to say, with a 5-foot wide bike lane, or a 5-foot wide buffer with 6-foot wide bike lane, but the gutter subtracted out, of course, is so much better. I mean, it's orders of magnitude better and safer than the situation we have now. And it's a no-brainer, I think, from a traffic point of view, because it makes the road symmetrical. And at both ends of this section, of this study, of this area, we have 3 lanes. And there's nothing major going on when it goes to 4 lanes. I asked in the previous meeting, how did this happen? And nobody knew. It's kind of weird. So that's my motion, and I hope that everybody will support it.
And then do your second.
So in addition to Commissioner Haveman's comments, yes, we need the infrastructure. It's not in the best physical location, but the fact that we have nothing there now is obvious that we need something. And that we can continue to make it, improve it so that it feels physically safer for cyclists to utilize the infrastructure. And that is why we have added our friendly amendment of recommending that the infrastructure be improved by the council to Class 4, as per examples that we have in the city of Mountain View, in terms of having at least physical plastic bollards to separate the speeding vehicles from the cyclist physically. Although the buffer lane is certainly welcome, physical barriers are better than paint any day. So, and that's all in respect. So we certainly need to make this recommendation to council, and then council will handle it from there.
Okay, I want to ask a clarifying question. So the recommendation from us includes, we're recommending staff recommend, or like, I'm kind of confused. What, like, the friendly amendment has confused me, because it was originally consider this when staff is doing their planning and their designing, and now it's staff recommends upgrading to
No.
4B, or
We're recommending staff's recommendation of alternative 1. Okay, we are approving their alternative 1, but we are adding our own recommendation, which we are permitted to do, to the amendment, but as it's presented to council. Now, when we go before council, whoever is chairperson at that time can explain the BPAC's rationale for adding this recommendation to the staff's recommendation. Our recommendation for the conditional approval, I should say, of this staff recommendation is basically what we're doing. But we're still recommending the staff's recommendation for the infrastructure. We're just adding an additional point, I guess you would say, a salient point for the council to consider as part of their review process.
Can I break in?
Yeah.
As the maker of the motion? I mean, what I had in mind is, we don't have a detailed design right now.
That's correct.
The big thing that we're voting on here, eliminating that traffic lane, putting a buffered bike lane in, The buffer can include markers, which I guess would turn it into class 4. That's a part that should be considered at design time. And this isn't a funded project yet. It may be a couple years before it's done. And by that time, Sunnyvale's going to will have solved their sweeper problem maybe. and you know, it will make sense. So I don't want us to say right now it's got to be a buffered bike lane.
We're not saying it's going to be a buffered bike lane.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
We're saying we want to do alternative 1.
Right.
It's basically said we want the bike lane to be there, et cetera, et cetera. And when you're doing the detailed design, please consider.
No, recommend.
Recommend.
So could we, Carlos, have you written this up for us? I think if we read the motion, that would be really helpful here.
Carlos
we
has
have it
read it up.
dictated?
So the motion as stated is that we approve staff's recommendation for alternative 1 to make a buffered bike lane, class 3B buffered bike lane. 2B, sorry. Got my numbers. 2B buffered bike lane, that we ignore the CEQA recommendation because that's out of our purview. And that the BPAC makes a recommendation to the approval of this thing, that council consider upgrade, that the council consider.
All right, so we're back to the word consider.
I think I'll take a stab at this.
Thank you.
Alternative 1.
Right.
No stance on CEQA.
Right.
Upgrade, BPAC recommends upgrading to class 4 at design time.
Correct.
Does that do it?
That's at design time. Yes.
Okay. That worked for staff. That worked for the maker of the motions.
Yes, it's, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Then-
I assure you that council will understand the message.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I think so. Okay, you have nothing else to add with, okay, perfect. Then we have a motion, we have a second, no more hands to discuss the motion. So then. Staff liaison, please conduct a roll call vote. Commissioners, I guess when you are called, unmute your microphone and respond.
Commissioner Melman,
Aye.
Commissioner Bonet,
Yes, of course.
Commissioner Golokota,
Yes.
Chair Beagle,
Yes.
Commissioner Hafman,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
That's 6 yeses.
All right, thank you. Okay, we already did. All right, let me make sure I got my order here correctly. So this is the second thing we've seen. So, and then we did the ATP. Okay, so now, next, yep. Next, we have 25-0878
Mr. Chair, I would recommend a brief recess as this meeting has been going since 6:30.
We can do that. It's a good reminder. It is 8:55 and we will reconvene at 9:05. We have, oh, not yet. Waiting.
We're waking up.
Keep our questions succinct, please, people.
All right, we have reconvened from our break.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Okay, we have reconvened from our break. Commissioner Golakota has left the meeting to attend to something. And that's
Can you please announce the time that she left?
at 9:05. So she has left. We still have a quorum, so that's good. So next up, we have item 25-0878, VTA Measure B, Education and Encouragement Potential Projects. Staff, do we have a presentation this evening?
Yes, we do. Give Carlos a few minutes to pull up the presentation and then I will get started. Okay, so this is Angela Wong speaking. I am a transportation engineer with City of Sunnyvale. Here today with also Jose Palma, the active transportation planner, to talk about the Measure B Bicycle and Pedestrian Education and Encouragement Program. So today I'll just quickly go over the background and then update the BPAC on the progress we've made for fiscal year 24-25 projects, and then go over our proposed projects for this fiscal year 25-26, and then open it up for or go focus on goals for tonight's BPAC study session. So right into the background, this is regarding the VTA 2016 Measure B, Bicycle and Pedestrian Education and Encouragement Program. I shorten it to Measure B E&E program. And this program is funded by sales tax. And so the revenue generated varies from year to year, and we can't really predict how much we've gotten so far, but the raw ranges have been from as low as 80K to as high as 140K. And this fund is mainly to promote and educate walking and biking. And so I'll go over more of the eligibility for the projects at the end. That's where I want to focus on it more. But that's just the high level of what this program is. And so right into it, so from last fiscal year, we've done many projects alongside our Safe Routes to School coordinator, Maria. That is a picture of her on the right-hand side, passing out Safe Routes to School incentives, which is one of the first topics I'll go over today. So for using the money, we purchase Safe Routes to School incentives to pass to students, which include reflective bracelets, backpacks, and safety vests, among other things. And she's passed out around 156 items across all the elementary and middle schools, while she educates them on the best practices for walking and biking to school. Another item is helmet distribution. So she also passes out specifically helmets for young children. So that ranges in elementary and middle school students. And she's passed out 71 of those this past fiscal year. And then we have pedestrian bike rodeos, which are coordinated with the middle schools, which teach children how to best walk and understand how to cross in certain situations, so that they can learn to do so to actually walk and bike to school. Next, we have bike workshops, which are held over the summer. And this is to also educate not only the middle school students, but also the parents that attend the class with them. And so these bike workshops really go into the basics on how to bike, how to signal, and just the basic skill sets you would need to be a good bicyclist. And then lastly, we have the Walk to School Day, which Maria leads, along with the Department of Public Safety, TPS. And this is just to encourage, I think she did it at Columbia Middle School, Jose, if you remember. If not, I can fact check that one for you. But it was one of the middle schools, and we had 75 students and 40 guardians attend that event. Next, we have bike rack purchases. So we, in the Traffic and Transportation Division, saw that it is a good project to provide bicycle valet. And so we purchased our own 3 bicycle racks to potentially host at our future city events, just to encourage more people to think about other active transportation ways other than driving to our city events. Lastly, we have Energizer Station for Bike to Work Day, rebranded as Bike to Wherever Day. And this year we held it at Plaza del Sol, and those are a picture of our staff that hosted that day, and also Jose is featured in this picture as well. And we have a total of 206 bicyclists that passed by and checked out our station. So that is around the highest numbers we've seen in the post-COVID environment. And moving right along, so those are our completed ones. Now I'll go over the ongoing ones that we didn't get to complete in this fiscal year, but we will continue to pursue these in fiscal year 25-26, or current fiscal year. So the first 4 are essentially part of our safety video. Part of our safety video series that we are pursuing on our YouTube channel. So the first educational video is crossing intersection safely. And so this is just how to identify best practices, looking both ways, things like that. Traffic awareness is our second video in the series. And this is just to help identify what things you should be looking for and how to actually stay alert and be aware of your surroundings, no matter where you are in the traffic network. Third, we have walking and bicycling safety video. And this one's just catered to pedestrian and bicyclists, mainly to emphasize the staying visible, especially at night, and staying visible, making eye contact with other drivers, and essentially that is the basics of it. Next, we have our Class 3B Bicycle Boulevard safety video. I know we have a lot of questions on our criteria for Class 3B and how to use it, and this video is one of the ways we're trying to explain that. And then we have Safe Routes to School website and logo development. So this is a request from our Safe Routes to School coordinator. She does most of her education via flyers in person and talking with the parents, but there isn't really a home base where she can direct all those resources to, as well as more media outlets like videos or other cities, other resources they can refer to. And so we're working with our communications team to develop that space for her on our city webpage. And then we have giveaways that our traffic team passes out as incentives. And this is part of the incentives we passed out at our Bike to Wherever Day. And we have Bike Valet, like I mentioned before. We do want to continue to host Bike Valet events at future city occasions. And finally, we have our implementation of the outreach plan for Vision Zero campaign, which we had completed the plan for, but we're trying to implement the items identified in that strategic plan. And next, I will pass it on to Jose to go over our proposed projects for this fiscal year.
Thank you. So at least Angela was able to provide, was able to provide a summary of what was done before, what's ongoing, in connection to that, what is being proposed. And so there's going to be some repetition here, but at least continue to support the incentives part to help Maria, our Safe Routes to School coordinator, deliver information in these items, especially lights, for example, to ensure that people use those lights. In addition to that, helmet distribution and ensuring that students have the helmets necessary, as it is per state law, the 18 and younger should be wearing a helmet. And then pen and bike rodeos continue, as well as the bike safety workshops, and for Maria to continue leading the walk to school day, and then continuation of bike valet as well. And of course, to support with the bike to wherever days with the Energizer station. Okay. And some new, or not some new, but the Vision Zero outreach campaign implemented strategies and comprehensive outreach plan that continues. And also the mobility information kiosk, the e-bike, that will be also, well, it was done before, but there will be some adjustments made. And as well, including, this is one came from Maria herself, was to offer U-Lock to middle schoolers and for them to understand how a U-Lock works and how to properly lock their bikes. Right. Thanks. I'll pass that back to Angela.
Okay, and that brings us to the goal for tonight's BPAC study session. We're giving BPAC the opportunity to look at all the projects that we've completed, are proposing, but also want your feedback on what we haven't identified in that list of slides we produced. Just a bit of background. So every project that we have done has to be approved by VTA. And for approval, it has to be eligible and measurable upon completion. And to go over some eligibility examples directly from their Measure B E&E manual. One is to develop and distribute bike walking maps. Second, we have create and implement active transportation marketing. And so that's kind of like our Vision Zero campaign. Third, we have educate adults and children on walking and bicycling skills. So that's kind of like our bike workshops that we've been doing. Purchase and distribute bike ped safety equipment or incentives for education and encouragement activities, which both our team and Maria have been doing on an annual basis. And finally, we have organize and implement programs related to traffic laws. So it kind of lists different examples of what that could be. So that includes like Safe Routes to School programs, Vision Zero, of course, and board and safety campaigns, and among other things. And just to highlight examples of what isn't eligible, so like direct business costs, like food for those meetings or at those classes wouldn't apply, or even training for like agency staff isn't part of this educational criteria. And on this slide, I know it's very small, but it does go into very specific examples, and most of these are coming from projects that the county and other cities in this county have already completed or are pursuing. And so most of it is categorized as Safe Routes to School, targeted education, walk and roll is one thing like San Jose does. Marketing, as in developing bicycle-friendly business programs. And then the special events, so like our Back to Work Day that we've done annually. And lastly, we have safety educational programs. I think, Jose, this is also part of like the certification of bicyclists that would fall into this category, I believe.
We are looking into that, and especially talking to Measure B folks who handle that. We actually have a meeting with them in about 2 weeks to discuss the LCI certification training.
And all of those encompass the eligibility. So once we've identified something that fits in that category, we want to be able to measure it and make sure that this project is completing its purpose. And so BTA has spelled out the criteria that it must meet one of these 4 situations. So the criteria include project reach goals. So that includes, setting a number of participants. Like we want to have this X number of students attend our workshops, for example. Next, we have behavioral changes. So this includes survey responses of like reaction from our target audience. Third is mode shifts. So we do travel tallies, for example, at all of our participating middle and elementary schools to get a sense of how those students travel to school. Were they, doing single occupancy in the in the fall, and then with the education, we see an increase in walking or biking to school, things like that. Lastly, we have equity. So VTA is trying to spread the love. So we're trying to get metrics on, well, which schools are we targeting? Is it actually reaching all of our target audience that we want to? So just more measurable data is what VTA is looking for. And that brings me to our last slide, but I'm going to jump back to the eligibility page to help you kind of think about what other projects you'd like to recommend to us.
All right, thank you. Okay, so just to make sure the commission understands, you're looking for project or task or like things to do, recommendations that would be eligible for Measure B funding under this specific E&D program.
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
And the Measure B, while it has funding for infrastructure and all sorts of things, this is a specific program in Measure B that it can only be used for this kind of thing.
Correct. And just to really emphasize the difference between this and the other Measure B is that this one is not an infrastructure-based program. It's mainly educational and informational.
Okay. And then as the commission is giving suggestions, do you have any recommendations for being productive here? Because oftentimes in the past where it's been like, do you have ideas for us? It's just been a free for all of like this and this, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? Do you have any insights to keep us constrained?
I would suggest, really looking at this eligibility list to try to come up with a couple of ideas and to propose to us. Once we heard these ideas, we'll go back and consider, whether these are something that we could propose to VTA, how we could incorporate the measurability in there that VTA will actually approve the projects. There has been a lot of instances where we proposed certain things and they said no. So they said no because they consider it as an infrastructure or they didn't quite agree with the measurability and so forth.
Okay. And so are you looking for recommendations for new project ideas, or would you also find valuable from the commission of like some projects or some things that have been done in the past that we'd like to see again, like our support of that? Would that also be beneficial, or are you looking for new things?
Mainly new things, but it's good to hear what we're doing good and what you think we should focus our attention to as well.
Okay. I think hopefully that clarifies what staff is looking for to everybody. So we will start with questions. Questions first, then we'll go to the public comment, and then we'll go to the recommendations and like the insight, I think. So I think, who had their hand up first? Commissioner Bonet, I believe, yes. Commissioner Bonet had his hand up, so we'll go to him.
Thank you. Thank you for the list. Two brief questions. One, is the bike rodeo only conducted once a year in the summertime?
Bike rodeos we've done in summer, but we've also targeted different seasons while school is in session as well.
And is that once per school or once in the district?
I'd have to get back to you on that one, but I believe it's once a school year, but at 4 or 5 different schools.
And the walk to school, that's only once per year per school, is that right?
I think we only did it at the one school last year as our first one. And so we're trying to see how that one goes and potentially maybe do it others. But I can't really speak on behalf of Maria. She is the one staff that hosts that event. Oh.
I'll chime in about the bike rodeos. At least from my understanding, there's 5 and there's 3 elementaries and 2 middle schools. And I don't know if I can talk on behalf of the proposed for the rodeos. I am proposing that we double that for next year, so it'll be 10. So it'll be increased.
Commissioner Wilson?
And that was my question too, yep.
I had one question. So you mentioned that the city has proposed things that VTA has rejected in the past. Do you have examples of what they've rejected before that we thought would be eligible?
One of the things we thought it would be good to encourage bicyclists is to put in like a bike counter, similar to, I don't know if you're familiar, years ago, San Francisco installed one in Venice that, keep tracks of how many bikes, and it's a big counter. It's visible. However, like VTA consider that as an infrastructure. And then I think there was something that we were proposing to implement at the library. Was it like a repair station?
It was like a library, like checking in a bike situation. Like we would have like a bike library in a sense.
No, I
that the
think it
one
was
you-
the repair station.
Oh,
I think we
I
were
don't think-
recommending to do some kind of repair, implement some kind of repair station at the library, but they also consider that as an infrastructure.
Got it. Okay.
And then I'm not sure if Angela can speak on behalf of this, but that mic project, do you know why it was not?
It goes back to like the measurability. It was like with this program, like what is like the specific data they're looking for. So they're very detailed and the data we collect and report back to them.
And just so you guys know, I'm kind of the one that came up with that idea for Palo Alto. So for us, measurability wise, it was a variety of things, including doing demonstrations of how to signal when you're on a bike, to having items with me that were brought on a cargo bike, and then sort of having like office hours at different parts of Palo Alto, including parks in front of certain schools, and just having conversations with folks who were either parents, kids, or people who were just walking in the park and having a conversation, including a booklet that would basically have everything that was online in paper, and just having that information available for somebody, at least at the time, because of the pandemic, we needed sort of this human interaction. So that's why we kind of pushed for something like that instead of telling people just to go online and go to Zoom. It was something more human.
And that was something that VTA rejected or something that was,
For Palo Alto, they accepted mine.
they accepted it. Okay.
So we're going to try again.
Got it. Okay. Commissioner Wilson?
Yeah, did you say that project was called Mike?
So it's for the mobility information kiosk electric bike. That's the acronym for that. Yeah.
Okay. And so that was funded in Palo Alto via Measure B, and recently was rejected from Sunnyvale's application.
Correct. At least my understanding is for Palo Alto, they were able to get a bike. I could be wrong about that. I don't remember. I was not there at the time when they got this spicy curry cargo bike. And then, we just decided to bring like portable tables. And so I would bike and have material, and then was able to build this table and then talk to folks about safe routes to school.
And was the bicycle named Spicy Curry?
The name is actually Spicy Curry.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. No more hands from the commission, so I will open public hearing and take public comment at 9:30 p.m. A reminder to the public, please submit a speaker card to the staff liaison. Raise your digital hand now or dial *9 on a telephone if you wish to address the commission. I will call on members of the public participating in person first, then the staff liaison will ask remote participants to unmute their microphone when it is their turn to address the commission. Speakers will have 3 minutes to speak. I have no in-person speaker cards. Staff liaison, do we have any remote participants wishing to speak on this item?
We do, Chair. We have Daniel Karpilovich. Daniel, you have been unmuted and have 3 minutes to address the commission.
All right. Hello again. I'll try to make this one quick. So I want to endorse 2 ideas for you guys. They were both mentioned. The bike valet, I think that's a great idea. I know personally, it definitely encourages me to go out and bike to city events and other kind of, public events that go on. So if staff, have that at every city event, maybe even some BPAC meetings, who knows? Although we kind of already have that. I think it would encourage a lot of people to bike to those events, especially, in the summer when the weather's nice. If staffing becomes a concern, I'm sure like some local advocacy orgs, can muster up some volunteers. I know they do bike valets themselves, so that's something we can work on with them. The other idea that I wanted to endorse is light distribution, giving out lights to folks that are biking. But we have to be smart about how we do it. If we have these events during the day, we're probably reaching cyclists who might not ride during the night much or at all. So maybe we should have, times where we distribute lights in areas where there's a lot of cyclists naturally, and then do it in the evenings once it gets dark so that we can reach the people who are riding at night already and who would benefit the most from, having a safe and legal way of riding their bike at night. Places like the Caltrain station, right? People have, people are riding their bikes to the station after work and things like that. I think that would be a good thing to do. And also, I've actually been doing this myself recently. So I bought like a bulk pack of lights and I keep a couple on my bike, and when I ride at night, which I do often, especially from BPAC meetings, I have, a couple lights, and if I see someone riding their bike without lights, I'll give them a front and rear pair of lights. So I think having that be a program that has funding that we can, buy a couple hundred lights and give them out to people where they need the most, I think would be a great idea. And that's all my comments.
Thank you, Daniel. That was our only online participant, Chair.
Great, thank you. If no more speakers, I will go ahead and close public comment at 9:33 p.m. I want to ask for discussion from my colleagues. Commissioner Moman?
Yes, you had mentioned that you did not learn how to ride a bicycle until you were an adult. So why don't we have adult introduction to cycling classes? Like, actually encourage adults at first-time learners kind of thing.
I believe VTA offers these bicycle classes. At least I took one of them to be LCI certified.
Mm-hmm.
So they offer also beginner courses for those who want to participate in Santa Clara County.
Okay.
But it is something that we could consider.
Yeah, because
Thank you.
Santa Clara County's big, so, having one, in Sunnyvale and not just like in San Jose or someplace would be great. The other thing is getting those teenagers to remember bicycle rules and things like that might be a thing. So I know we tend to concentrate on the younger riders. I think maybe we should look at like a high school program in terms of like reacquainting them with bicycle safety rules of the road kind of thing, but focusing on high schoolers, because when I see behavior like Commissioner Wilson mentioned, doing a nose stop at a stop, or popping wheelies down the middle of the street kind of thing. It's the high schoolers, the 14-year-olds and up kind of thing. So usually male too, but that's another story.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I've written it down.
Mhm.
If I may respond to that as a former high school male, I don't know if I would have been receptive and wanting to even, I don't know if having that resource available is something that I would have made
But
use
if you
of.
have freebies, given out, or prizes, like if you have a gymkhana kind of thing, where you're doing the education thing, where the point is perhaps to obey the rules of the road while undergoing the gymkhana contest. And
a gymkhana?
Gymkhana is like an athletic contest of, you can do it with horses and you can do it with bicycles and you can do it with scooters, but it's,
I think you're onto something there, though.
Yeah.
With the competition-based
competition
incentives.
and prizes, yes. But the key being that you do it with the rules kind of thing. Yes. I know how adolescent brains work against the rule. That was one myself, yes.
Okay, and then since there's no other hands up, I'm going to continue with my comments. Do a big +1 on the bike valets. I think they're really useful to get people to bike to places. If like you kind of make biking a first-class citizen, it's like, or you kind of feel special when you get to like walk up to an event with your bike and not worry about parking. I think it's like really useful. It's nice at the farmer's market, but there's so much parking that you don't have to worry about it. But like there was an event right here in front of City Hall a while ago that had bike valet, and like I wouldn't know where to park, but like I knew where my bike was going to go, and it was so convenient to do that. And I think those kinds of events where like people are worried about biking or about parking, bike valet is great. I think another example, we may or may not have had a bike valet for it, would have been the 4th of July fireworks show that was out at the Bayview or Bay Park. I forget what it's called.
Bay Point.
Not fireworks, but
The drone show.
the drone show. From what I heard, parking there was an absolute nightmare. And if we had bike valet or something, and maybe flashlights for the bicyclists, that could have been like a perfect thing to do there. And then on the contrary, I don't see the value in the training videos unless they're Sunnyvale specific. I can go on YouTube and I can search bike safety or pedestrian safety, and there's going to be thousands of results. I don't think it's likely that Sunnyvale will be able to produce a video that stands out amongst that crowd that is worth the time that's spent, time and money that's spent to create it.
Survive crossing El Camino Real or something.
Yeah, like how to use a crosswalk. I don't think we're going to get value out of that. If we can find a way to make it Sunnyvale specific, that could be one route. But if it's just a generic safety video, I don't think we should work on that. And then one suggestion for something that I brought it up in meetings before, but again, I don't see it in this slideshow or this presentation. Have we considered bike buses? Are you aware of that concept? Where for everybody listening, it's instead of taking a bus to school or doing like walk to school day, everybody like there's some leader that sets a route with the bike and kids in the neighborhood start joining the bike bus and all ride to school together. And I think that would be a really cool program to like get people to bike to school. Is if it becomes like a social community activity and just instead of just on this day of the week, everybody bike to school. Good luck. Bye. Just if you like post a map and like this is a route that people are going to take, parents can come to. It's like this social activity that like everybody takes part in, and like because there's so many people using one route, there's a safety in numbers or like critical mass per se of people. It's like a safer event too. I would honestly love to see this just be like a repeat thing, like once a month or like every couple weeks or something. Maybe, I mean, if it's successful, like every Friday is the bike bus day. I mean, obviously that's more expensive. You gotta maybe pay someone on staff to do it, but like I would love to see this happen often.
I just wanted to comment. That's one of the reasons I'm suggesting that we do. We'll see if Measure B folks agree for LCI training that will be open to Sunnyvale residents, because sometimes staffing could be an issue. And so if we're able to get family or parents from the community to actually do this, then it's more likely that that could happen.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic if we could get volunteers for this. But then where's the funding going? If we can also do this, if the city could do this without funding for free with volunteers, that would also be fantastic. But perhaps you can provide incentives to join as well. But yeah, those are my suggestions. Commissioner Bonet?
Excellent suggestion. Thank you. I'm very heartened to hear that you intend to double the number of rodeos. That was going to actually be my suggestion, that they be increased to multiple times per school per year, because if someone misses it once, then waiting a year, that's very disappointing. Same thing with the walk to school days, multiple times per year at every school. And train as many people as possible. And this is a great way of keeping track of metrics. Ideally throughout the school year, one sees an increase. Yeah, it may change by weather, but these are very measurable items. Those are my 2 comments.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yeah, I think I'd echo the idea that there should be programming targeting the high schoolers. I think they're a demographic that stands to gain the most from the independence of cycling. We know with younger students that I think they're at an age that's easier to teach, but the high schoolers probably are more likely to put themselves in risky scenarios in terms of as the ones we've discussed, as well as biking the wrong way on the road because it'll be faster not to cross that crosswalk. So things like that are, I think, decisions that measurably increase the danger to the cyclist and which adolescents are more likely to engage in. And it would be worth the time to try to engage with them because they, have more autonomy and can be expected to navigate the road safely at the same time. There's more reasonable expectation, whereas your middle schoolers, you probably need them on the sidewalk regardless. So I think that's a good way to go about it, or maybe programming out of the library as well. I think those are centers of community engagement, so it could be good to maybe set up outside the library and do a tabling session to, like you said, with the e-bike kiosk, kind of, that could be another location for the e-bike kiosk. For now, I think that's all. Otherwise, very good work you guys are up to. Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Haveman.
Yes, I was thinking about, reaching out to the families in the community. A 4th of July, Sunnyvale 4th of July event, they had all these booths and everything for kids to come and play. And we walked around, I was just amazed how many people were there. It was really a successful event. And thinking about tonight and this program, you guys should have a booth at that on how to get to school without driving. Walking to school, biking to school, bike buses, encourage the parents to be volunteers for these events, and have fun things for kids to do. And there's festivals in downtown now. It seems like once a month, they got a street closed off down there for a festival. That might be a way. You talked about your cargo bike setting up in parks. A lot of those festivals downtown, there's a lot of kids wandering around. So it's something to pay attention to.
Commissioner Melman?
Yeah, what if you set up like a contest for each school or something like that, and the school with the most number of, kids who bike within a certain period, like a 30-day period or something, they get a prize like, I don't know,
Kind of like those summer reading, like read X number of books and get.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of thing where, they get like, I don't know, an Amazon gift card. I don't know what the Measure B funds could be used for unless it's specifically bicycle related. But, if you're able to give out a gift card or if you're able to give out, a party of some kind for the winning, school or whatever it is, something, and then a recognition of some kind. And that way, and then have, leaderboard posted somewhere showing so the kids know which schools are doing what, kind of thing, So make it sort of a competition kind of thing.
Yeah, and that like Chair Beagle was mentioning, like some way to build community across
Right.
all the schools as well. I think that's a great idea.
Right. And you could even like set it down to like schools within, grades, 1 through 6 or whatever, and then, 6 through 12 separate, or 1 through 7th, and then, parse it out by grade groups or something like that, to get more prizes out there so that there's not as many losers, versus winners kind of thing,
Right.
It's not like one takes it all kind of stuff.
I have another suggestion here. So we've kind of focused on like biking and pedestrian use cases, because that's the purview of the commission. But Measure B can be used for public transportation related things too, right? This education, or is it just physical?
With this bucket of money, it's only for bike and ped.
Only bike and ped. Okay. Okay, not even like other forms of active transportation like scooters or something.
That I'm not.
We'll ask VTA.
Bless them.
Okay.
The subject matter.
So given that this was it was from a ballot from 2016, so maybe at the time it wasn't included.
Okay. Well, I was gonna suggest public transportation training, but I guess that's not something that could be done with this money. Okay. Then never mind that. Commissioner Wilson.
Yeah, I think there was a previous slide describing the type of classes or event activities you've already gone to, and I want to say there wasn't one that kind of described like a defensive cycling approach where I have the feeling that people who know how to drive a car bicycle differently from those who don't. So especially if you're talking about children and teenagers, I think maybe describing the bicycling safety as being about defensive riding, very similar to defensive driving, where your goal is to predict the behavior of all the cars on the road. And so I think maybe cycling safety has more to do with that kind of information, not more to do, but not only is it making sure you can ride in a straight line, but it's also knowing the position and intended behavior of all the cars around you. So it could be, maybe that's a segment you might teach at the bike rodeo, or maybe this is a material you might, 10 minutes worth of material you might put together. But I think that might help with the perception that cycling is unsafe.
I just wanted to say that, at least for Palo Alto, something that I brought up to parents and kids was always reminding them that we are not mind readers and that most of the time they should be paying attention and just, making sure that if they're going to turn left, they should look left and signal left. And then, remember to students and parents as well as the law of wearing headphones and AirPods should just be on one ear. And I always suggest the right and not the left because of the way the vehicles drive here in the US. So in that nature, that's why I always remind folks, like, we are not mind readers.
Too right.
Commissioner Moman.
Okay, this will sound weird, but what if there was a game developed sort of like in a Pac-Man mode, very simple kind of thing, but it was sort of like, because the way he was talking about defensive, Commissioner Wilson was talking about defensive cycling, it just made me think, oh yeah, because life is like Frogger when you're on a bicycle. And I'm thinking, actually, we could have sort of a Frogger bicycle game, development kind of thing. And that might be a fun thing to do. I mean, I don't know how much money, but, do we have a technical school within the confines of the city that could help do with like game development? Or I don't know, maybe a giant corporation that does this kind of stuff and have their developers, get in touch with students as a coordinated project to develop a game for learning how to bike safety, or to survive the ride or something. Actually, that would be a great title, Survive the Ride. and basically the objective of the game would be to make it safely to your destination. Of course, then you have to predict driver and pedestrian behavior, whether you're a cyclist or a pedestrian or riding a scooter, and you get points taken off if you go the wrong way or if you break the rules or you don't wear your helmet or you don't turn your lights on at night kind of thing. There's all sorts of things you can do with that. So, I mean, I know it's kind of pie in the sky, but, if you had like, you said the grants were from what size to what size on some of these Measure B funds?
Like 80K to maybe up to 40 at 1 year.
40,000?
4,000, sorry, not 100.
Yeah. 40,000?
140 and 3 zeros.
Okay. 140,000.
140,000.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, with $40,000, you can do a pretty darn good game development, even as a basic game kind of thing. And like I said, that could be something that you could get those high school students involved with some, game development team of adults of some kind, just as a thought, And who knows, if it works, you license it everywhere or something, or give it out to cities everywhere, as an educational thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, people are addicted to their screens. So why not develop like an iPhone app or, an Android app for that kind of thing? There's an app for that. So just a thought, we're in Silicon Valley, so.
I want to go back to the public transportation thing, but with the mix-in with the bike and ped stuff. I would wager that a good percentage of our residents do not know how to use their bike with the Caltrain or with the bus. And it would be nice to provide instruction on how to do that. Like, how do you bring your bike on board a VTA bus? There are two types of buses. One where the bike goes on the front, some where the bikes go on the back, like inside. That can be very confusing for people. How do you ride Caltrain with a bike? Like, where do you get a bike tag? How do you like stack your bikes with the bike tags? Like, how do you interface your biking with the public transportation system here in the county, I think would be very useful in instruction with that. Like there could be, show up to the Caltrain and we'll give you a free ticket to ride to SF with us or something, and bring your bike and we'll show you how to use it or something. Like learn how to do the system to like get a ride for free or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of just focusing on like getting from A to B, like how do I transfer? How do
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
connect to other networks? Mhm.
Time I tried it was horrible.
I was just going to comment, sometimes it might be also difficult for some folks who have electric bikes, which are really heavy, cargo bikes. So the video would have to expand further, which, you know.
Oh, I mean, it could be a video, but I was thinking like of in-person, like demonstration or something, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Not to cut you off, but I think we have plenty of ideas and feedback, and so we'll circle these ideas back with BTA and get a sense of like how these are measurable and feasible to do with our staff and funding. And I think we made productive effort tonight.
Okay, then I think that I was done. I was done, and there's no more hands, so perfect.
Perfect time.
Okay. Then that ends this agenda item. We will move, hold up. I did this, I think, yep. Move into oral communications. The time, oh, 1 second.
Darn late.
Yeah.
9:50.
The time is 9:53 PM. A reminder to the public, please submit a speaker card to the staff liaison, raise your digital hand now, or dial *9 on the telephone if you wish to address the commission. I will call on members of the public participating in person first. Then the staff liaison will ask remote participants to unmute their microphone when it is their turn to address the commission. Speakers will have 3 minutes to speak. I have no in-person speaker cards. Staff liaison, do we have any remote participants wishing to speak on this item?
We do not, Chair.
Okay. If no more speakers, I will go ahead and close oral communications at 9:53 PM. All right, next order of business is finally the consent calendar. The time is still 9:53 PM. I will go ahead and open public comment on consent calendar items. Members of the public wishing to address the commission, please submit a speaker card to the staff liaison. Thanks for attending. Members of the public wishing to address the commission, please submit a speaker card to the staff liaison. Use the raise hand feature now, or dial *9 on a telephone to indicate you wish to speak. I will call members of the public participating in person first, then the staff liaison will ask remote participants to unmute their microphone when it is their turn to address the commission. Speakers will have 3 minutes to speak. Again, no in-person speaker cards. Staff liaison, are there any remote participants wishing to speak on this item?
There is not, Chair.
All right, if no more speakers, I will go ahead and close public comment at 9:54 PM. I will now ask for a motion from my colleagues to approve the consent calendar. Commissioner Hafman,
I move that we approve the consent calendar.
Commissioner Melman,
I second that motion.
staff liaison, please conduct a roll call vote. Commissioners, unmute your microphone when you're called.
Commissioner Hickman,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Chair Beagle,
Yes.
Commissioner Golokota is now absent. Commissioner Bonet
Yes.
and Commissioner Melman.
Yes.
I think that's 5 yeses and 1 absent.
Next order of business is public hearings and general business. Item number 25-0880, report and discussion of recent Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee meeting. Is there a report?
Yes, there is a report. If the staff could put up the slides, please, because unfortunately my iPad is having problems connecting with the internet here. The VTA minutes? Mhm. I don't know, but- Okay, thank you. Okay, so basically we had a few workshops. First one was the Countywide Crossroads Collision Database. It's primarily derived from the CHP's SWITR's Statewide Integrated Traffic Record System. And so basically, that's kind of the same output that we've seen many a time here from our public safety department. It's kind of a similar thing where you have the columns and it lists the events and so forth. It can output the data as reports and graphs. Unfortunately, this is a desktop version of a program which has been in use since the 1990s, okay, if you can believe it. So this is like a 30-plus-year-old program, and it is not web-based. So the data is not accessible to the public as a result of its not being web-based. You actually have to have a user account to access it, and cities have to make the request of whatever personnel they want to be able to view it. The data is provisional. Everything from 2022 up to 2024 is provisional because it hasn't been finalized by the various cities. But everything from 2004 to 2021 has been validated. The vendor is not providing a web-based version due to lack of resources to do so. Well, they have an exclusive license with the various municipalities, and so they really don't have an incentive to develop a web-based version. And that's my opinion. Anyway, basically, the county is not at present actively looking for hosted web-based databases, but they will address the issue of cost in 2 years. So basically, their current license agreement lapses in 2 years, and they'll look at it then. And I'm hoping they will finally get on the web-based map at that point in time, because then we could actually use like AI analytics for this kind of data and stuff like that. So, by the way, the example we saw did not show cyclist versus vehicle collisions, but only pedestrian versus vehicle collisions. And we were told that when they apply for grants, the report fields can include additional data based on departmental decisions. The other thing we saw as part of our workshop was called the County Local Roadways Safety Plan, or LRSP, I'm sorry. And basically, the point of that is to reduce fatalities and severe injuries on county roads and intersections attributed to traffic collisions. But this also uses the SWITR's data, and they also use it for grant application and for data analytics on various plans for improvement at intersections. They will be bringing this report to the county roads commissions and the boards of supervisors in September or October of this year. Grant application will be filed for those intersections which are identified in the high injury network, which are under county control in the next available cycle in 2026. And countermeasures applied to signalized and non-signalized intersections and identified potential funding sources. You really need to see the PDF of the presentation. And again, it's not posted online for the public yet, probably because they will once they give it to the roads commissions and the board of supervisors, and the report would be posted. So obviously, since we have a county road, Lawrence Expressway, which bisects the city, and also then we have Central Expressway, which is also a county road, and El Camino Real, which is which is under Caltrans actually, but we have significant county roads which bisect our city, which are affected by these plans. And then next. Okay. And then they also are developing intelligent transportation infrastructure. And this is using technology solutions like road sensors, battery backups, traffic cameras, not the kind that like record vehicle license plates and stuff like that, but the kind that looks at like vehicle I guess you would call it density, the number of vehicles on a specific roadway kind of thing. Fiber optic networks on county-owned roadways and intersections. The cameras can be used to collect data for video analytics on traffic flow, but of note, there's no real-time people looking at this camera data. So even if there's a collision that's ongoing at a specific intersection, there's nobody actually looking at it, so they actually don't use it for like forensic analysis of the collision information, that kind of thing. They don't record that information. Travel time can also be collected from Bluetooth readers. Traffic cameras on the web and smartphones can also be used to collect data, so everybody is being watched. And future project considerations are looking at a centralized emergency vehicle program in which GPS signals can be used to preempt the emergency medical response for traffic signals. So in other words, when approaching traffic lights or signalized intersections, again, under county control, it might be possible for these vehicles to preempt the traffic signal in their favor so that they would reduce the amount of conflict dealing with having to cross a red light intersection. It would be green for them, so it would make it easier for them. And then there's also the use of LiDAR technology to detect pedestrians and vehicles at county-owned signalized intersections rather than ground loop detectors, which we were complaining about not being non-functional. So imagine being at a intersection which has a LiDAR detector, which would be able to see you as a cyclist rather than relying on a ground loop detector, which if you're on like a carbon fiber bicycle, might not see you at all. And again, I asked the commissioners, they should look at the presentation. It's quite interesting, all the different types of technology that are used. Like I had no idea that Bluetooth could be used to collect information. So if they put a Bluetooth reader on one light pole and then they put it on another light pole or something like that, it can detect like the speed between the two light poles to determine like the vehicle use on the road and so forth. So, and that's it, I think.
Thank you. As a reminder to my colleagues, please request to speak by using your microphones. I will unmute your microphone when it is your turn to speak. Once finished speaking, please mute your microphone. Are there any questions from the commissioners? Nope. The time is 10:04 p.m. I will go ahead and open the public hearing on this specific item. Members of the public wishing to address the commission, please submit a speaker card to the staff liaison, use the raised hand feature now, or dial *9 on a telephone to indicate you wish to speak. I will call on members of the public participating in person first, then the staff liaison will ask remote participants to unmute when it is their turn to address the commission. Speakers will have 3 minutes to speak. I have no in-person speaker cards. Staff liaison, do we have any remote participants wishing to speak on this item?
We do not, Chair.
All right, I will go ahead and close public hearing at 10:04 p.m. I will now ask for discussion from my colleagues. Just want to say that VTA's got the exact same problem with crossroads that we do.
This is the county.
Or the county has the same problem with crossroads as the city does?
Yep.
So just misery loves company. All right, and there are no other hands, so I think we'll move on to the next agenda item. The next item is 25-0881, rescind the July 17th action and selection of chair and vice chair for fiscal year 2025 to 2026. Staff, can you please provide information to the commission on what's going on here?
So at the July 17th BPAC meeting, the commission voted to select the chair and vice chair for fiscal year 25-26. However, we were informed by the city clerk that the process did not entirely comply with Administrative Policy Chapter 1, Article 15. In particular, there were instances where a commissioner voted yes to multiple nominees. Therefore, city clerk informed us that the BPAC action took at the last meeting to select the chair and the vice chair would need to be rescinded. Tonight, I'm asking the commission to rescind the action taken for RTC 25-0788, selection of chair and vice chair for fiscal year 25-26 at the July 17th, 2025 BPAC meeting. This would require a motion, a second, and a vote. After that, I'll provide an outline on the procedure to select the chair and the vice chair for fiscal year 25-26.
Okay, I will happily make this motion to get this moving. And if we don't approve this motion, staff has no idea what we're gonna do. So, I move to rescind the action taken for RTC 25-0788, selection of chair and vice chair for the fiscal year 2025-2026 at the July 18th, 2025 BPAC meeting.
17. Sorry, I made a mistake.
Or July 17th, 2025 BPAC meeting. Is there a second? Commissioner Melman?
I will second that motion so we can right the wrong.
All right. Okay. There's no hands to speak on the motion. So staff, may we have the roll call vote?
Chair Beagle,
Yes.
Commissioner Golokota is absent. Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hafman,
Yes.
Commissioner Bonet,
Yes.
and Commissioner Melman.
Yes.
We have 5 yeses and 1 absent.
Okay, next, I'll outline the procedure to select the chair and the vice chair. First, the chair will open the floor for nomination for the office of chair. Any member may say, I nominate so-and-so to nominate another member. Members are not permitted to nominate themselves for the role of chair or vice chair. No second is necessary for the nomination. A member is not permitted to nominate more than one individual for either chair or vice chair. The nominated member will need to accept or decline the nomination. And then this process will repeat until there's no further nomination for chair. If there is one nomination for the chair, if there's only one nomination for the chair, then the chair shall declare that the individual to be elected chair by general consent. So if there's only one nomination, there's no need to vote. If there are more than one nomination for the chair position, nominees will be voted upon the order that was taken. Each commissioner can only vote to support one nominee. If the first nomination receives the necessary vote, which is the majority vote for the commissioners that are present, the member is elected. There will be no need to conduct a vote for any additional nominations. The commission will then repeat the same process for the office of vice chair.
All right. Before we do that, we go to public comment. Well, if there's questions from the commission on the process, we can ask them now. There are no questions from the commission, so we'll go to public comment and then we'll go through that process. Okay. The time is 10:09 p.m. I will go ahead and open the public hearing on this specific item. Members of the public wishing to address the commission, please submit a speaker card to the staff liaison, use the raised hand feature now, or dial *9 on a telephone to indicate you wish to speak. I will call on members of the public participating in person first, then the staff liaison will ask remote participants to unmute when it is their turn to address the commission. Speakers will have 3 minutes to speak. I have no in-person speaker cards. Staff liaison, do we have any remote participants wishing to speak on this item?
We do not, Chair.
All right, I will go ahead and close public hearing at 10:10 p.m. Now, I will open nominations for the office of chair. I'm just gonna jump in with this and use my privilege as chair to go first and nominate Commissioner Wilson for chair, like we did last meeting. So Commissioner Wilson, are you willing to serve in that capacity?
I accept the nomination.
All right, are there any further nominations for chair? There are no other hands, so then there being no further nominations, I will close the nominations for the office of chair. Commissioner Wilson has been elected to serve in the capacity of chair by general consent. Yeah. Elected to chair twice in 2 meetings.
Your day's history, dude.
All right, moving to vice chair. I will now open nominations for the office of vice chair. Commissioner Moman.
I would like to nominate present chair Beagle for the position of vice chair.
All right, I am willing to serve in that capacity. Are there any further nominations for the office of vice chair? Nope. There being no further nominations, I will close the nomination for the office of vice chair. Commissioner, Chair Beagle has been elected to serve in the capacity of vice chair by general consent. All right, and that's that item. Yay.
So we'll inform this result to the city clerk's office, and then you will receive the next steps from them.
Okay, and Commissioner Wilson, you've already done the training, so you're ready to go next month?
That is correct.
Okay. Then the next order of business is non-agenda items and comments. Are there any non-agenda items or comments from commissioners? Seeing none, staff, do you have any non-agenda items or comments?
I have a couple. So just to announce that for the Division of Transportation and Traffic, Angela Beso is officially our new Transportation Traffic Manager. Another new announcement is that we have a vacancy and it has been filled with a new commissioner, Di Zhu, who will be joining us for the September BPAC meeting. And then for advertisement of our bike valet, so we have bike valet starting at the farmers market. The first day is September 20th, and we're gonna do 8 consecutive weekends. So that's kind of like the fall season or California summer. And so that will go up until November 8th. And then some future council meetings of interest to the BPAC. One is a study session to evaluate the City of Sunnyvale study issue process. This is study issue OCM 24-02, and this will be held August 26th at 5:30 p.m. And then there's another study session to evaluate new revenue strategies to fund new and increase service demands and or unfunded capital investments. This is scheduled for September 9th at 6 p.m. And there is a project update for East Channel. The staff is ramping up for the second round of outreach, which will start in late September, tentatively ending in November. And they just wanted to make a heads up that they plan to report back to the BPAC in October. And that concludes my staff announcement.
Just a quick question. The farmers market bike valet was September 20th through November.
8th, I believe. It's the second Saturday of November.
Okay, and it's every weekend?
Every weekend.
Okay. Thank you.
And to add on to that, the upcoming study session on August 26th, evaluate the City of Sunnyvale study issue process. The agenda has already been posted, so it looks like there's a packet to review for this particular item.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have informational only items. Unless someone wants to comment on one of these informational only items, then we'll move on. I guess I don't need to read what the information only items are, or
I don't think so.
because I have the script, I can see them, but unless you have the script up, you can't see them, as you realized. But yeah, okay. Then with that, the meeting is adjourned at 10:15 p.m. and I want to thank everyone for your participation in tonight's meeting. Yeah.